Good day, folks. Good day. Whatever time it happens to be, wherever you are in the world. Tonight on the Hotspur Hood, we're going in hard with the N17 effect. Tons to discuss going into another international break. I was just thinking about it as we had the countdown on. I don't even know who England have got. I forgot who England have got. I'm not that bothered, to be honest with you. I'm sick and tired of these international breaks. More interested in the rugby, more interested in the cricket, if I'm perfectly honest. But there is a hell of a lot to discuss. We've got a great lineup. We've got Danny, member of the Hotspur Hood. We got Stel, as you can see. You know, we're top of the table. We're not just doing well. We're top. We're the front runners. Everyone's chasing us when we get back from the international break. So yeah, we got Stel from Tottenham away. Daigle will be with us shortly. Mr. Brian Daigle, the Daiglenator. Before we get going, do these 4 things for me. At least 3 of the things, because they're free. Smash the like. Subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 3K. Hit that notification bell so you're notified of future content. And super chat. If you've got a spare bob floating about, get in a super chat and help the channel out further. So these guys don't really need any introduction to use at home. But big up to the people watching. JJ, Adam McFarlane, Rob Ayres, Roy, Louis K, JJ, a lot of regulars and a couple of new people in the chat I'm seeing already. 3SS Sport Picks, big up lads. Yeah, any new people, make sure you subscribe. We've got a great lineup, great show planned. So first up, before we get on to the real meat of things, the biggest story this week is obviously we can't sign players, the window's closed, but we have appointed someone. We've appointed Mr. Lange, Mr. Johan Lange, ex-Aston Villa director of football, scout, as our technical director. So I'm guessing our main director to replace Paratici. So he is the heir. I don't care what funky name they give him. Technical director. He's the heir to Paratici as far as I'm concerned. Stel, starting with you. Have you done your research on this guy? Do you know anything about this guy? And are you impressed? Are you impressed with the appointment?
What's up, guys? Big up Dan, big up Tommy, big up the chat. Yes, we are top of the league, man. And if you don't enjoy it, then what's the point of supporting a football team? You've got to enjoy when there's anything half enjoyable, and we haven't had a good time for a long time. So let's see what happens with the league table. But yeah, I looked at him a little bit yesterday, and I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. I'm torn down the middle. I'll tell you why. I think. All right. Let me start with the negative, so I can end it on a positive. Negative. Unai Emery preferred to bring in Moshi from Seville, and that's why Lange has been he's been replaced. I know we've taken him from Villa, but he's been replaced, which means Unai Emery rates someone higher than what Aston Villa already had. And Unai Emery is no joke, and Aston Villa aren't exactly going backwards, are they? They're going in the right direction. So that's a negative. Another negative, if you look at the work he's done at Aston Villa, I'm not convinced by quite a lot of the signings the past couple of years. I mean, this window, I thought they did quite well. Saying that, they did spend the Jack Grealish money really well. They did spend that money well, and he was involved in that. So that kind of gives him actually maybe a bit of a good...
Matty Cash, Buendia, Watkins, Martinez.
Yeah, Watkins was a great find, yeah. So so maybe it wasn't as bad then. But
then on the other hand, there's a lot of bad ones. Danny Ings, £30 million for an injury prone. Diego Carlos,
Clement Longley.
Diego Carlos
back at the club this summer.
Yeah, so, but I don't think he was operating in the summer. I think that was Monchi.
Well, do you know what? I'll tell you the positives. Paratici is going to stay there.
He's Danish, and we've got Højbjerg. That's something, is it not? There's not too many positives for me. If what's the positive still?
If you want to bring more Danish pastries into the canteen, then yeah, Tommy, it's great that he's Danish. Maybe a bit of Danish bacon for breakfast and all that. But look, the positives are Scott Munn's come in and very quickly he's saying, you're out, you're in. This he's like, So whoever this Scott Munn guy is, he's getting things done quick, right? You're out, you're in. And so that's a positive. That means we're not messing around. The other positive is Paratici is still going to be there as a consultant. I still think Paratici is going to have a much bigger say. I think Daniel Levy loves Paratici. That's my personal opinion, because this guy's a convict and we still kept him. So I say convict, but he's been charged for a lot of football irregularities. So the fact that Levy's kept him, Levy must really, really like him for whatever reason. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? God knows. But I like the work Paratici's done in the summer with Gabardini. I thought they brought in some really good players. When you look at it as a whole, I don't think he's done a bad job in terms of the overhaul of the squad over the last couple of years. The academy director, Simon Davies, I met him a couple of weeks ago. We've got a brilliant academy director. And the changes that he's made in the academy, Tommy, we could talk about it later, are really good. Paratici brought him in. Paratici brought in that guy. So the fact that Paratici is still there kind of gives me a bit of hope with this Johan Lange guy. And the other positive I'll say is he does operate with data analytics, which is kind of the model we want to go down. So there are positives, but the truth is, look, do any of us know what a football director is really going to be like until they've been there for a couple of years? We don't, do we? We ain't got a freaking clue. None of us are experts at this. We just give opinions and we try and make it sound good so that we look intelligent. But the reality is, I don't know. I haven't got a clue. No, and I don't think anyone does.
The thing we're getting at, we're talking about, year, 2 years, this window, next window. When it comes to these directors of football, I mean, are they ever given power under Levy? Are they ever really given power under Levy? We know Paratici made some good signings. I mean, I think he made a good shortlist for signings, Paratici. I think since Paul Mitchell left, 2016, where he said the famous quote of "My dream job has become a nightmare," and then got fired straight after that. I don't think we've had a proper director of football since. I think we've just got glorified scouts who put up shortlists of players and then Levy picks one. That's where I think we are. And I think whether it's 1 window, 2 windows, 4 windows, I think it's the same thing. And I don't trust Levy. I don't trust Levy in charge of the transfers, the negotiations, the selling of transfers. I know it's gone okay this summer. A couple of games in, we're looking good. But for 46 transfer windows over 23 years, I don't like the way we operate with the directors of football. Let me
play devil's advocate. Tommy, let me play devil's advocate, right? Sorry, Dan. Let me play devil's advocate here. Right. I'm with you. I don't trust Levy. I never will. Right. Unless we see silverware come through the door as a result of the work he's put in. Right. But just play devil's advocate. We spent 50 million on Romero. It's a lot of money. He's turned out to be good. How much did we spend on this Van der Ven? 40, 45 mil?
47, I think it was.
Right, so almost another 50 mil. He looks mustard. We dropped 40 million on Madison. Again, he's looking the business. We dropped big money on Ndombele, Richarlison, the Celso. They haven't turned out good. We get it. But
that's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, you're right. But I do think we are spending our money better. In the last year and a half, maybe year, I think we're spending it better. There's no more Jed Spence's coming in. There's no more Clement Longley loan deals coming in. No more Dan Juma loan deals.
I mean, how far are you going back still? When you say year and a half, are you just talking about last January? Because a year and a half ago is when we signed Longley, is when we signed Spence.
All right, let me tell you this. Simon Davies came into the club last year. Right, he's been there, I think, 9 months, 10 months. He's overhauled the academy, the philosophy. He's overhauled the way.
Is it ex-Spurs, Simon Davies? Is it ex-Spurs?
No, it's not him. No. This guy did 10 years at Man City with Mancini, Pellegrini, and Pep Guardiola. He also worked with Vincent Kompany in Belgium as well, right? We're basically following a Man City-esque philosophy in our club right now, and you're seeing the under 18s and 21s. They're cooking, right? They're doing well. The younger kids are going to be even better. Top of the league, right? They're doing even better. So when I spoke to Simon Davies, he said we are only going to bring in players that suit the system of the academy and the first team going forward. And if Postecoglou leaves because Real Madrid come in and poach him, the next manager will be a like-for-like type of manager. So there is now a way they want it done, a way they want to play, and the way they're going to coach it. Which means a system. This has only been in place for 10 months. Now, that's why Ange's come in, because he complements the system. The last 10 months, I don't know a bad signing. In the last 10 months. Why it's taken 24 years to get to this place, and why we've wasted 500 million since Poch got sat, I'm with you, Tommy. But the last 10 months, what I'm seeing when I go into Spurs and what I'm seeing on the first team, there is definitely a fundamental shift in the football side of things. Now, whether this continues and whether Levy backs it, that's going to be the litmus test.
So
that's where we're shitting ourselves. That's where we're worried, right?
Straight still. Let me get this straight. Simon Davis. So what you're saying is Simon Davis is basically the front runner. He's basically the technical director. If he's telling Levy who to sign, Simon Davis is in charge.
He's not telling Levy who to sign. What he said to me is Spurs now, whereas before they'd sign players because they thought they were good or they thought they might be good one day, or Jed Spence is going to be the next big thing. What they're doing now is they're only signing players that fit the system. There's a system.
The system
style of play.
Pressing system 4-2-3-1. Is that what we're saying?
Basically, the way we're playing. He's buying players that work for the way we're going to play from now on. They're not just going and getting in a player because he looks good or whatever.
And other clubs have done that. Leipzig done it as well. Leipzig do it all the time with their managers. They play the same philosophy. They don't care who the manager is. They bring a new manager in. They play the same philosophy. They're always, funnily enough, the irony is I listen to a podcast about the Bundesliga. I don't watch it too much. But obviously Red Bull, they don't play with wings. They never play with wingers, Red Bull Leipzig. It's just the way they do things. And they never have for like 5 or 6 years to 10 years. And they're smashing. They've got that constant philosophy from the owner. Yeah, from the owner and above, which is mad. Very special guest, Mr. Brian Daigle. We're on the first topic. We're on the very first topic. So I'm glad you could join us on this topic. As you know, windows closed. Can't sign anyone other than coaches.
In fact, Tommy, Brian was with me. Brian was with me. I took him in with me when I went, so he can be my witness.
Oh, what the Simon Davis thing?
Yeah. I've been listening to the show. I want Dan to speak first because he hasn't said a word. But I will just say,
that's why I've been listening.
We're the hosts now. Me and Dan, we're the hosts. We're the hosts.
Everything Stella said about Simon Davies and the academy and the training ground, he's absolutely spot on with what he's saying, word for word.
But
do you trust Levy to stick by this? Do you trust Levy to stick with this?
No. Do you know what? I've got.
It's one thing saying it, and it's one thing saying it. It's another thing doing it.
I've got a different opinion here. A lot of people have asked me, "Is Ange going to get backed? Has any manager ever got backed?" Yeah, I think he is, and I think he's going to get backed. Let's say 80%. Yeah, because no one ever gets it 100%. But there's a reason why I believe this. Yeah. Whether anyone's got their own way of putting it, Ange has never been a big manager, a big club. Yes, people can say Celtic's big and whatever. Yes, of course they can, but the Scottish League is still tuppence compared to the Premiership. Like it or lump it, it is what it is. He's not used to going into clubs and having 100 million slapped in his back pocket. He's used to having to go to clubs and find those players. He's more of what I'd look on as a Brighton manager sort of thing. And I think that can do a lot of good for us because anytime we seem to spend big money on a so-called big player, it always goes tits up, hands down. A manager like that has to already know the system, has to already have his little scouts, had done his own things. I mean, look what he done at Celtic. He brought in about 3 players there that no one had ever heard of, and then next thing you know, they absolutely wiped the floor with it. I think he's going to get backed. Why? Because I don't think he's going to be necessarily sitting there asking 50, 60, 70 million players left, right and centre. Maybe one. But he's going to be looking at more of the players that he knows could make something of themselves, but they will probably only cost 15 million. And it's not even because he's looking for them because they're cheaper. It's just in his mentality because the way he's always had to do it. And for me, that's right up Levy's street. He ain't going to complain about that. When this manager can probably go in and get 3 good players for, let's say, 60 million, whereas someone like Conte, Mourinho, whatever, would have wanted 1 player for 80 million, Levy's going to love that off. And if he backs him up with, say, that 60 million for the 3 players, yes, you're going to get Spurs supporters sitting there getting the right ump because we haven't just gone and bought a 60 million player. But then you're going to have the ones that I think with a higher mentality that are going to see it like, well, if that's the players that Ange actually wants, and he's getting backed with who he wants, what have we got to complain about, whether they cost 15 million or 100 million, as long as they come good? So I think Levy's going to be a lot more happy with this style of manager. And I don't think he's the sort of manager to kiss ass with Levy, whatever. I just think it's what he's had to do all his life as a manager. He's never had to go. He's never had 200 million or 100 million in his bank to go out and splash it on one player. So in that sort of twisted way, I think Angie's going to get backed. I think he is.
I'm just going to add to this very, very quickly. Just to let you know, guys, I'm waiting for a call from. I might have to leave for 10 minutes to bring in a shopping order, and then I'll be straight back.
No worries, no worries, brother.
I'm a house husband at the moment, so I've got to do as I'm told. So
making up for lost time, man. Making up for lost time.
Oh, mate, big time. My overdraft. I've exceeded my balance well and truly, mate. I am in. But I'll start on what Dan was saying about the transfer market. Then I'll go on to Johan Lange very quickly. This is the only transfer window that's coming up in January where my version of has Levy backed Ange or backed the manager is completely different to any other manager at any other window at any other time, because I would normally back it on quality of player, money spent, or how long he's haggled, or whatever it may be. For me, the whole way that I'm judging this window is how quick the players come in. I don't care if they're 5 million. I don't care if they're 50 million. I don't care if they're 70 million. When we've got Heung-min Son, Papa Matassar, Yves Bissouma going off to represent their country in their respective tournaments, they are big holes to fill. And I don't want to see a Pedro Porro where, oh yeah, we wanted him at the beginning and he comes in on the 31st, or a Kulusevski and Bentancur. If these three players are going out and we're in a key position, and when I say key position, I'm not talking about going for the title, because I'm not there yet. I'm nowhere near.
We're going to get to that. Don't worry. We're going to get to that.
I'm at the moment where Champions League is a real possibility. Champions League is a real possibility. Now, to facilitate that, come January, with these players going, I want to see, like Liverpool did with Van Dijk, not the value. Liverpool struck the deal on New Year's Eve with Southampton for Van Dijk. New Year's Day, he was at Liverpool watching the game and signing the contract. January the 2nd, he was available. That is what I am judging this entire window on in January, how quick these players come in to give Ange the players he needs as cover. None of this draw it out till the end of the window bull crap. But then Johan Lange, all I will say is it's another man to deal with transfers rather than that man. I don't care if we bring in 100 directors. This man, and I heard you, Tommy, mentioning the players. Yes, he got some duds, but he was fundamental in Ollie Watkins, fundamental in Amy Martinez, fundamental in Buendia. Buendia is a player I really wanted.
Coutinho,
I loved him at Norwich.
Philip Coutinho.
Yeah, these players, and you got to think this guy's come in. And I heard Stell saying, well, he's gone because he wanted him. For me, the way I see where Stell's going from, but where I look at it is, it may be because he's got a better relationship with him personally. It may be there's many factors. It doesn't mean just because
he has Brian Unai Emery and Muti.
So there you go. I mean, it's like Paul Mitchell and Pochettino. What we thought was Paratici and Conte. There's many variables, and this guy has obviously found good players for Villa that have fit into the system. That word is the main thing, the system. And this guy now comes in, was obviously been told something by Ange, by Scott Munn, maybe by him. Paratici staying at the moment is vital, like Stell said. He's now got a month. Apparently his start date's November the 1st. He's got a month now to do some recon and start scouting and finding out what the targets are. And his appointment, again, ties into everything that I said come the January window. Everything revolves around players coming in quickly. I don't care if we buy an Australian, a New Zealand, a South Korean, a German, a Irish, a Canadian. I don't care what their name is. If I have to Google them like Danny Rose, if I have to, whatever I have to do, if Ange wants them and they can come in, they have to be here for the first week of January. So they're ready for January, especially with those three players going.
It seemed like it was a bit of both. It was a bit of both in the summer window in terms of how quickly he handled negotiations. Maddison was relatively quick, I think. Van der Ven, we seemed to mess about with tap sober. it seemed like we wanted Tapsoba, but he was more expensive, so we waited until Van de Ven was
Madison.
Until we were priced out of Van de Ven, Tapsoba. We got Van de Ven, and a few situations like that. So yeah, I mean, last day of the window, Porro. I don't think he would have done it unless there was the revote that we saw on Twitter or X, if you like, because the fan base went into meltdown when that Porro deal looked like it fell through on the penultimate day of the window. And then apparently that day, Levy flew to Portugal and got the deal done. It's always final day. Even Kulusevski and Bentancur was the day before the window closed. So it is always late in the window. So in terms of Paratici still, because he's, well, you know, I said he's well and truly gone. There's every chance he could still be a consultant. What will his legacy be at Spurs? Can we say he's been a successful director of football still?
What 100% he's staying at Spurs. He's going to stay as a consultant.
He is.
He's not going.
Even if it's over the phone. Even if it's over the phone job, he's going to stay there, and I'm happy with that. I don't think the man's had enough credit for what he's done. Yes, he's made a few tits up and that, but I think he's done better than he has done worse. I mean, he's managed to bring us in players like Sarr, Bentancur, Kulusevski, all right, 50-50. Adoji, who was one of the most wanted young players in Italy at the time. Again, a lot of people don't know it because a lot of people only follow the Premiership. He has done some good jobs, and with a Madison,
can I throw some more names your way?
Go for it.
Vicario, the goalie.
Yep.
Golini. Look, I've got to play devil's advocate. Golini, Emerson, Spence, Lange, Richarlison, Gill, £35 million. Richarlison, £60 million.
There's some shockers. There's some shockers, man. There's an absolute.
Gill isn't a write-off yet. Gill is not a write-off. The problem is with
35 million, Dan.
He's not a write-off yet.
So 35 million.
Maybe, but look,
35 million. We could have spent more wisely.
He was more than that. He cost more than that.
For the system we were playing, the style we were playing with the manager, it was a terrible buy. But I personally think Brian Gill is one who could thrive off of the way Ange plays. People go on about the way he's built everything else and that. I've seen many a small player up there. I mean, Modric, perfect example. You knock him flying off the ball and he's still up within 10, like split second and straight back on it. I think stick Brian Gill out on the left as an inverted winger. I think he will work wonders. I really, really do. So he's one for me. I think you can put on the side and
let's see. Can't be worse than Richie, Dan.
If he gets played.
You can't be worse than Richie.
Well, I've got the opinion that Richie, we should just sell him if we can get 20 million for him sweet, and if we don't replace him,
we're going to get onto that. We're going to definitely get onto that.
But I think Paratici has made a shrewd bit of business on a couple of things, and yes, some have gone tits up as well. I think Richarlison was more a buy for the money, for the name, even though he weren't necessarily a big name player, but still Brazil number 9, 60 million. I think that was more of one to shut the fans up sort of thing, and it definitely backfired. Again, it's another one we spend big money on and it does not work. I think he's done all right overall. Yes, it can't all go right and everything, but if you look at most of that team out there now, he's pretty much built most of that, is how I see it.
To move it on a little bit, I'm going to come to Daigle now. To move on a little bit, so do you feel, let's just get back to the basics with Paratici. Do you feel he's actually been given the power to sign players, Brian? And in what regards do you think he offers the contracts? Do you think he actually Levy accepts that this is the player that Paratici wants and goes for that exact player? Or do you, as I said earlier, is it a short list and then Levy picks from Levy picks from there?
Do you know what? This is a real tough question to answer, because we looked at it under Conte and thought, well, they're not Conte players. Why are they coming? Why are they coming? Which leads you to believe, you would think, oh, it's what you said, that a list is there, he's picking one and doing whatever. You look at it now and you're like, well, wait a minute. There's something there. And I think what a lot of people, and still will see it a lot more, is, I've said this for a while, I think what Paratici isn't getting a lot of credit for as well is he's got in there, and like it still alluded to with Simon Davies, is he's absolutely gutted the back end of the football team. What you don't see, what you're seeing on the football pitch right now is the fruits of the labour. But what you're not seeing is the back end, where he's redone the youth team, He's raised the prices, their salary cap, so these players will stay. He's brought in a different way that the scouting network works. Everything behind the scenes has changed because of Paratici and Gabardini, who's obviously gone. So that part has gone. When it comes to what he's doing, he listen. There's no doubt in my mind when as you're growing up, girls and guys, as you're dating, you have your little black book, and when you're married, you're going to throw it away, or the metaphorical black book. There's no doubt that Paratici left a little black book, a little dossier of names, players, talent, and obviously he's still speaking. He is a big pull. He is a big, big draw. We know who signs the checks. We know who says yes, no, go to this level, whatever. But I think Paratici is having a huge influence on what's going on right now. And you have to give him the credit he's due. You have to give him the credit he's due.
I think the most difficult thing here is if you don't give Paratici the credit, if the signings are good and you don't give Paratici the credit, you have to give Levy the credit. And I think that's a problem. I think that is an issue to a certain extent. But
well, I think destiny.
This is what I don't give. I'm not saying this because I've gone Levy out definitely over the last.
You have to give credit if you give Paratici credit because he hired Paratici.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's that as well. I don't think he's given. I think we're all in relative agreement. But yeah, I think it's this shortlist situation. If you look at Paratici's legacy, I think you look at Udogie. You look at Udogie and you say, without a shadow of a doubt, that is a Paratici signing. Maybe Sarr as well, but obviously coming from Ligue 1, we don't really know.
No, Sarr was 100% in.
everyone was saying Sarr's the next Yaya Toure.
100% Sarr.
Everyone was saying.
Tommy, can I throw something
everyone was saying in France. Everyone was saying Sarr is the next Yaya Toure. So he was well known. Udogie just seemed to go unbelievably under the radar to even to teams in Italy. And then we look at the rest. We look at the others. I'll get you in a second, still. Look, Romero was Serie A Defender of the Year. Everyone knew Romero was, like Bremer, Yep. He was Serie A Defender of the Year. He was a fantastic player, but he was very well known. Bissouma, say what you want about Bissouma, but the reason the bigger teams didn't come in that summer was because he was still involved in the rape case. He was. He was involved with the rape case. Okay, brother. Okay. So he's involved with the rape case as we signed him. Levy must have known that was going to get dropped, this, that, or the other. But all the best teams in the league, including Arsenal, Chelsea, were in for Bissouma the season before, and he had an even better season. So, and then there's Golini, Emerson, Spence, Langley, Ritchie, Gill. There's a lot of money wasted, but I don't blame Paratici for any of that because I don't think Paratici's been given the power for transfer negotiations and transfer bids. I think it does come through Levy. I think 99% comes through Levy, and I think it's the same for this next director of football. He's just sort of going to be a puppet. The last 6 months, the last year, it's worked. It's looking good. After 8 games, it's looking good. Didn't look good last season. Going into this summer, it looked very bad because we finished 8th. 8 games in, it looks good. It's still very, very early days before we start giving out plaudits to transfer windows. For me, even last transfer window is far, far too early for that. We need to see longevity in the signings for me. But Monchi is a serious director of football. So the fact that Aston Villa brought him in and that made Lange available doesn't make this Lange a terrible technical director or scout. Monchi's just a magnificent one. But regardless, I just still think I just feel like it's another puppet. Hopefully, Paratici can find some more players in Italy if he is a consultant, because he's done a very, very good job doing that. And if Vicario looks like that could be his as well. If he is still a consultant, then he probably had a lot to do with the Vicario deal as well, I'd imagine, Paratici. So
that was Paratici all over that one. I mean, how many people slated that fella and almost wanted him to fail just to have a dig at Levy? Now, I ain't one for Levy in. Business-wise, I can't fault the fella. I really can't. I mean, he has made this club one of the top 10 biggest clubs on the planet without bloody winning anything. Business-wise, you cannot fault that fella, and I wouldn't hear otherwise. But football-wise, the fella has been absolutely useless, and he's got a lot of making up to do. But you can only take it one step at a time. So the way I see things is credit where credit's due. So far, so good, as from what we've been doing in the past 8 months. But there's a long way to go for him before he even gets the slightest bit of He won't ever get respect. He will never get respect. But before he starts getting it off more Spurs supporters, is in okay, credit where it's due, sort of thing.
So yeah, I mean, it's tricky for me. It's tricky for me. Of course, credit where it's due, but doesn't change the 23 years that's gone before.
No,
it doesn't change the 23 years that's gone before.
Listen, I think there's two things at play here with Paratici, right? I think just looking at it now, like 3 years after he's come in, I think there was two plans at play. I think there was a long-term plan and there was a short-term plan. The long-term plan to bring in a younger squad, identify talent. And when you look at our squad now, Porro, young. Van der Ven, young. Romero, fairly young. Udogie, young. Vicario, young.
Extremely young for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's very young for a goalie. Johnson, who's injured, young. Kulusevski, young. We've got a very young team, right? Yeah. So this didn't happen overnight. This has been coming gradually. Bentancur, he's not old either. He's like mid-20s. So
26, isn't he?
I think the long-term plan, Paratici's done a very good job. Where he's done badly was the short-term. Whilst the long-term plan was building, the short-term plan of keeping the club moving in the right direction, he's been a disaster. Bringing in Nuno is unforgivable, right? That is unforgivable. Bringing in Conte when you're not going to buy the players that kind of a manager wants is unforgivable.
There was no point.
But this is if you believe. This is if you believe Paratici was given the power to bring these managers in.
Dude, Conte didn't come because of Levy. Let's have it right.
Never.
Conte did not come here because of Daniel Levy.
Conte
came because he was making Paratici. And Paratici...
Conte did not come because of Paratici. Conte came.
No, Tommy.
Conte came because we offered him 400 grand a week. We offered him 400 grand a week.
That was a help.
Conte did not even move from Italy. Wasn't interested in Spurs.
Dude, Paratici was the middleman in this deal. Yes, he come for the money. Yes, he come because.
Sorry, I'm not having this. Paratici brought Conte in. I'll tell you why.
He worked with Paratici for 3 years at Juventus. They worked together at Juventus, where Conte was a winner every season. If you think Paratici didn't have a say in it, Tommy, you're deluded.
They were friends. They were friends.
I'll tell you why. I watch a hell of a lot of Serie A, right? So Paratici wasn't the director of football at Juventus.
No, but he worked with him. He was there.
No, Morata was the director of football at Juventus.
Yeah, Paratici worked under Morata.
Conte's right-hand man was Morata. Paratici threw Morata, Conte's best mate, under the bus by signing Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus. He threw him under the bus. Paratici went behind his back to Agnelli and said, yeah, I'm up for this Cristiano Ronaldo deal. Morata said, we can't sign Cristiano Ronaldo. We need to sign young players. We need to sign young players. Because Morata fell out with Paratici massively. Morata left as director of football, went with Conte to Inter Milan, and that's when they won the first Scudetto for 10 years at Inter Milan.
But what's that got to do with Paratici and Conte's relationship?
Because Conte was part of that, a massive part of that. Conte does not like Paratici.
So why did he come and work at a club where Paratici is the director?
Why did Paratici get Conte? Why did Paratici get Nuno instead of Conte in the summer?
Because Conte rejected us.
Did not want to go and the money was not
good. But Paratici was still director of football.
For him.
Yeah.
But
so he rejected us when
so
Conte rejected us in the summer when Paratici was director of football, but then he comes 3 months later.
Yeah, but Conte said at that time, hold on 1 minute. Conte said that he wasn't ready to go back into football.
No. We would have offered him 200 grand a week. Nuno was the worst appointment in the history of Spurs. We offered Conte 400 grand a week.
Yeah, but what if Paratici? Okay, yeah, but hold on, Tommy. What if Paratici said to Levy, "Listen, this is a mess. This Nuno's a disaster. This is the first time they've ever sang 'We want Levy out' in the stadium. You've got to do something. Let's go back to Conte, but give him what he wants. He wants a staff of 20. Give him 20, not 4, like you're saying. Let me broker the deal." Paratici was definitely involved in it. There's no way he
100%.
wasn't.
No.
Come on, Tom.
I disagrate. I think it's easy to say because they're both
Why
Italian.
do you disagree? Why do you disagree?
I told you why I disagree. Because Conte's best mate, representative, director of football that he took with him everywhere fell out with Conte massively.
Okay. Who picked Conte?
When I say massively in the Serie A, I'm talking I'm talking Sol Campbell, Spurs level. I'm talking huge falling out. Conte did not want to work with Paratici really because of that dilemma, and that's probably why he didn't come in.
So why go to a club where the guy in charge of the hiring of players for your team you don't get on with? That doesn't make sense.
400 grand a week. This is why I'm telling you. 30 million pounds. 30 million pounds a week.
So the only reason Conte came, a serial winner whose reputation is on the line, the only reason he came to us was to earn money for 2 years and completely fuck everything up.
Not fuck everything up. Do his best job. But
right,
like
so
he did,
it wasn't just for the money there.
Is Spurs an attractive job or place for a player to sign, given our track record? Is Levy an attractive proposition for a manager and a director of football to come to? Levy is the worst. Nobody wants to work for Levy. Nobody wants to work for Levy.
But there were managers. There were managers that work for
anybody.
The only way they work for Levy. This is the only reason they work for Levy.
Tommy, that's part of the reason, right? Everyone works for money. No one works for free unless you're one of these volunteer care workers. Respect to those people. Most people, they work for money. That's always going to be part of the deal. But for me, there's no way Daniel Levy woke up one morning and said, right, my football brain says to me, Conte's the man for us. Someone would have advised him that. Someone would have said to him, Daniel, you need Conte right now. He's the only way you're going to keep the fans on board. He's a serial winner as well. He's Mourinho, but relevant.
Levy knew this.
So Paratici would have fed him that.
To tell him, Levy knew this. When he heard the Levy out chance,
Levy didn't know.
When he heard the Levy out chance, he didn't go to Paratici and say,
"What does Levy know about football?" Tommy, what does Levy know about football?
He didn't hear Levy out chance, right? Conte and go, Paratici, what should I do? What should I do, Paratici? After Nuno,
in 20 years, all right. In 20 years of Levy, all right. In 20 years of Levy, we've had Baldini, Camoli, Arneson, Mitchell, the bald head guy, Hitchin, and then and what's his name, Paratici.
Camoli.
Mitchell.
The reason we've had all these people is because Levy doesn't know football. So if you think he doesn't listen at least to what they say, then that's crazy. Because he keeps hiring these people for a reason. Whether he does what they say is different, but they're all advising him. And I guarantee you, Paratici would have said to him, "Bring in Conte." There's no doubt in my mind.
Anyone in the universe can say bring in Conte. Conte's the best manager, top 3 managers in the world. It's not a big deal to say I want to bring in Conte. Anybody would say that. Why? But at that time, it was.
But rumour had it that Levy
was the last.
Conte's
the last manager to win a title with Chelsea. He's the first manager to win a Scudetto at Inter Milan for 10 years. He was the first to win at Juventus for 5 years. The guy's a serial.
Yeah, but don't you think Daniel Levy after Mourinho would have been a bit weary about this? Would you not thought, do you know what? I've just had a bit of a nightmare with Mourinho. Is this where I want to go? Someone would have persuaded him. For me, Paratici definitely had a say in this. 100%.
He's never been a director of football either, Paratici. He's always been the man underneath. He was a director of football, Juventus. Do you know, after Morata left, as I said, Morata left, Juventus, he became director of football. They missed out on Champions League for the first time in 10 years. And then he got sacked, and then he came to Spurs. So he's a very, very poor director of football. But this is where I 100% agree with Daigle in terms of the rest of the stuff he does in the backstage. The tactical analysis, the structure of the scouts, the structure of the coaches, all of this, Paratici was brilliant at Juventus. It was absolutely fantastic. And that's why Levy brought him in. And I believe that that's what he changed. Do I believe he's had any say in the negotiations with any of the players signed or sold? Absolutely not. It would have just been shortlisted.
I just want to add one thing. I mean, I don't know if Stell mentioned it, and I don't know if he discussed it whilst I was away. One of the things that blew my mind, and I kind of got starstruck by it when we were at the training ground, I said it to Stell at the time. We're sitting in this meeting room where the players and the youth team sit, obviously, and have their meetings. And once it finished, Stell, myself and Graham went over and spoke to Simon Davies privately, or Stell did, and we listened. And you're hearing this guy, and I heard Stell mention the manager he worked with under City. And then when we're talking about the job, he was like, yeah, I was going to go to Burnley with Vincent Kompany. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy I'm talking to is speaking like name dropping, like us saying, oh, we've got Ben and Simeon coming on the channel. it was like whoa, this guy's just throwing name drops. And he goes, yeah, I was about to go to Burnley with company because I worked with him in Anderlecht, but I had to leave Anderlecht because of COVID and my family weren't in Belgium, so I weren't going to come back and forth, back and forth. And he goes, I was on the verge of going to Burnley with company, who he's worked with at Anderlecht, who he's worked with at City, both as a player and whatever. And he goes, but then I got a phone call. I got a phone call from Paratici, who he's had absolutely no dealings with before. And he dropped going to company where company knows him and has worked with and knows what he does. He even said to me and Stel, he had planned the season Burnley came up. He had planned their pre-season. He had planned everything for their pre-season, for that promotion season that they had. One phone call from Paratici. It was like, yep, I'm dropping everything I know. Not even from London, never been in London. I'm going to London. Kind of like Avi in Snatch when he goes, I'm going to London. And he has the shot and he's at passport control. This is the power of Paratici. I think a lot of his work, yes, it culminates with what he does on the pitch. A lot of it has got to do with results and players coming in. But like you just mentioned again, it's what he's done behind the scenes. And just one phone call like that, and people will drop everything because Paratici's made that call. This is his influence is massive. And it really didn't hit me. Like, yeah, he got Conte, he blatantly got Conte. Yeah, he's done this. But when I heard Simon Davis speaking like that, I got the call from him. Bang, I'm there. That's the draw of this man. And that's what he's there to do. On the pitch and off the pitch, getting the best people in. And like Stel alluded to, the way they spoke, and Stel's been there many, many a time, was like nothing he'd ever heard before. The whole club, from what we're looking at, from face value and what we heard, have gone 180. And there's no coincidence that this shift has changed since Paratici's been at the club.
One caveat to what Brian said, right? Well, actually, let me add something, then let me put the caveat. The one thing I want to add is they're actually using the word win. They're actually saying things like, there's no point developing if we can't win. Otherwise, what's the point of developing? If we're going to develop, we need to win at the end of it. That's new. That's never been said. 10 years I've been going there, they've never been talking about win, which is good. The caveat, though, I need to put on all of this is when we went outside to watch a couple of the training sessions, we went over to one of my friends who does recruitment for the academy. And we said to him, like, I won't mention his name, but mate, I can sense a change here. Like, it feels like this is fundamentally shifted. And he said to me, yeah, absolutely. I went, it's much better now, isn't it? He went, yeah. I go, do you reckon Levy will do the right thing in the long run? Like, do you think he'll backhand? Do you think, we'll get it over the line? He paused. He looked at us because he didn't know Brian, right? He looked at us and then he went, you know what this bloody chairman's like. So there's still that doubt amongst the people at Spurs because then they don't. The trust for Levy isn't there yet, and that backs up kind of what you were saying, Tommy.
He
so
definitely
there is a doubt.
He's not going to say no, is he? He's not going to say no. He's not going to back it up. But he's not in so many words.
He almost did though. He said, "You know what this chairman's bloody like." As in, when did he ever back them? When does he ever keep the managers long enough? So,
well, if you'd have sat there and just blatantly said yes to you, you'd have probably just give him a funny look and said, "All right, mate, how much are you getting paid?" Yeah, everybody, like I said earlier, but
he didn't have to be honest though. He couldn't give me a political answer. He totally. He was very blunt. He was like,
totally,
yeah.
But like I said, Levy is never gonna have respect. But again, like I said earlier, credit where credit's due so far. But with the history he's got, when someone's got that sort of history, when they've just come out of prison or whatever else, they're still going to get watched no matter what. You don't come out with a clean back, basically. You're still getting watched for what you've done. And no matter what happens, even if we win the Premiership this year and win the FA Cup and we've done a bloody double, yeah, we would still, the next season, just being Spurs supporters, normal Spurs supporters, and then you got the other ones that just OTT, or you're still going to be looking over your shoulder. What's Levy going to pull next? What's he going to do next? And then the following season, go on, mate.
Let me ask you a question, right? let's say we do what you just said, right? Let's just imagine Spurs do the double. It'll be the second double in 140 odd years of Spurs history. If we win the league, it'll be the first league title since 61. No ownership has ever done that since the last time we've done it, yeah? Which is God knows how long. If that was to happen, would you as a fan, forget the fan base, you as a fan, would you say, do you know what? Respect Levy?
No.
Why not?
Because that's not 24. Again, each their own, yeah. But for me,
but he's won the league. He's won the league.
Well, let me describe it then, yeah. For me, I won't show no one respect until they earn my respect. What I will show is common courtesy or credit for when they do something. When I've known someone a due amount of time, they will then get respect off me, yeah. Levy, he can go and win the league. He can go and do the double. And do you know what? I'll sit back and I'll clap my hands and I'll say, fair bloody play, man. Credit where credit is due. But for the man to get my respect, I don't think it's possible because I don't think he's going to live long enough to do it. Mud sticks. Like it or lump it, mud sticks. People do talk about good things you do, but one thing, like we know we're players and everything, the bad always gets spoke about more. The bad always gets listened to more. Not just football, but everything in the world. People don't go and read newspapers to read the good stuff. They go and read newspapers to read the bad stuff. That man has got too much mud on his back to ever get respect. But he will get credit if credit is due. That is just the way I see it.
All right. Do you think then, last question for me, do you think then that, forget what you think now, what do you think the majority of Spurs fans will feel like then?
And this is always the key. It's the majority, majority of Spurs fans think.
Yeah.
Right.
Fans.
Through the Spurs fans I know and the Spurs fans I've met on here, I would say 70% will just totally forget about 24 years and be singing Levy in, Levy in, Levy in all day long. That's my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. And there will be a hell of a lot who would literally just blow it over their shoulder and be happy that we've gone and done whatever we do and that. Me, I'll be credit where credit is due, but I still won't be... right. A person, man, woman, whatever way you want to put it, you got a partner, yeah? When the partner's gone behind your back so many times, why you'd even still be with them, I never know. But you're still going to be looking over their shoulder every time they leave the bloody house. What? Just because they've gone a year or two without going behind your back, you now sort of forget about everything and get on with it. But sadly,
it's a good analogy.
Sadly, there is enough idiots out there who would literally think, "Oh well, do you know what? My other half hasn't shagged another person for the past 2 years. Maybe it's going solid now. Maybe we're sorted." That's the way I describe that one.
And success is about longevity of success. And I know a few people putting in we should build a statue of Levy if it ever happens. Not at all. I would celebrate like crazy. I've said all along, the bread and butter is the league. Yeah, big up Tony. Bread and butter is the absolute league. I'll die a happy man if Spurs win the title. I'm not just in life. I mean, in my footballing life, I will die a happy person if Spurs win the league title. I've always said it. That's why when we have the arguments of top four over winning an FA Cup or domestic trophy, I've always said, for a long time, I said top four is key, because if top four gets us the best players, then we can go for the league title. We never used it to get the best players, so things have changed. If we do win that league title, we're not building a statue. 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, we should have won the league title. We should have won the league title with the team we had there. We very nearly did in 15, 16, 16, 17. Then we went 500 days without a transfer. Then we sack a manager before a Carabao Cup final, and all this rubbish that's escalated before and since. So I'm not building a statue, but it would be a magnificent achievement, and it should have happened by now. 2023, the money we got in the bank should have happened by now. The world-class players we've had, Kane, Son, Modric, Van der Vaart, Bale. Other teams haven't had these players, and the ones that have at least won FA Cups. At least. We got nothing. Yeah. Nothing.
Tommy, I want Brian to answer this as well, but I want to answer my own question, and then I want to hear what Brian says, right? So for me, if we win an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, the European Conference League trophy, I will not forgive Daniel Levy. Not at all. Because to me, great, brilliant, silverware. I'll be like Dan, credit given where credit is due. I'm all on board with that. If we win either a Premier League or a Champions League, I will forgive Daniel Levy.
Do you put that in the same bracket still? Do you put the Premier League in the same bracket as the Champions League?
Yes, yeah, I do.
Really?
Yeah, let me explain why. Because
Premiership's harder.
Because if we win one of those two trophies, not only is it something I've never seen us do in my lifetime, but it's something that hasn't even come. We've never done the European Cup ever. And the last time we done a league title was the 60s. So if this owner can do that, listen, I can put it to bed. But I get where Dan's coming from, though. I get where he's coming from. And Brian, bro, you're diehard Levy out as well.
I'm going to throw this to Dan as well.
And I'm a diehard Levy out. So
Stel, I've had you on enough times, more than enough times. I've been in your show. We've done loads of streams together. Right. And I always hear that you put Champions League and the Premier League in the same sort of bracket over what one you take. That Brian, would you take Champions League over Premier League? Do you think it's in the same
Premier League over Champions?
Premier League is a 38 game.
Premier League over the Champions League every single day of the week for me. Now, to answer Stel's question, now people who have watched me long enough on these channels or have watched me on or seen me on social media know what I've said this before and I'll say it again. If we were to win a trophy, whether it be the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the League, the Champions League, I will say, well done, Mr. Chairman. You got the silverware. You've done it. But do I forgive him? Do I stop being Levy out? Nah. I stick to the same thing that I've done the whole way I've said this. I want to see a minimum of 3 to 4, mainly 5 years of the manager constantly being backed. When I say constantly being backed, I don't mean every single signing he wants, he gets. I mean 5 years of seeing what we've seen this summer and hopefully what we see this January. And then again, and then again, and then again, and then again. It's all well and good doing it this year, maybe next year. Let's say next year, like Pochettino's second season where we were flying, then the third season we were second. It's all well and good getting that league title. If you get that league title, it's not, I can take my foot off the gas now. We've won a title. We've won 1 trophy. It's now 2 trophies in whatever years. I want 2 trophies to become 3 trophies. 3 trophies to become 4 trophies. 4 trophies to become, and so on and so on. Winning 1 trophy, winning 2 that's brilliant. That's what we all support football for. Well, we all support because we want to see our team lift silverware.
So Brian, so just going by what you said, right? If we won 4 years in a row, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, then all is forgiven.
Wouldn't say all is forgiven. You're very, very close to me going, right, I need to stand back and analyse where I am.
Don't you think one Premier League title? Don't you think one Premier League title just supersedes all of that?
Look,
let
me put this away for everyone.
Really?
Let me put this away for everyone.
Go on, Dan.
Look, everybody's different. Everybody sees things different. Everybody takes things different. Everybody does it different. Yeah. Now, anybody on the side here or anybody near that wants to call me a liar and I wouldn't want him in and everything else and that if he done this, this and this for the next 4 years or whatever, I don't care. You don't know me. Yeah. I'm not a forgiving person. Once you have lost my trust, once you have lost my respect, you won't ever get it back again. Ever. You can work hard and you can go and win the league for the next 10 years. I'll clap my hands and I'll say, well done. All the credit where it's due and I'll give you every bit of credit you want. But you still ain't getting my trust and respect back. Why? Because you already screwed it. That's my opinion. Everybody is different. I take it back to the partner. The partner goes behind your back once, twice, 3 times, whatever, yeah? Okay, and then it all goes clean for a certain amount of years. Not that I would even stay with them with that. But, and you get married, this and that. I don't care. For me, you're not getting my respect back. You're not getting my trust back. Ever. You've broken it. It's done. But then I get everybody's different. Yes, you can make up for mistakes you make. Yes, you can make up for time and whatever, and you can get credit for it. But as far as I'm concerned, depending on each person again, when you lose a man...
Dan, I'm sorry, I'll use your analogy. Like I said with cheating, Stell will know this. Loyalty is the number one thing to me in the world. The number one thing. I will be...
Yes, I'm the same.
My wife knows this, and every other girlfriend I've ever had before her. You could do anything, and we'll go get counselling. We'll work through it. You cheat on me, that's it, done. There is no help. There is no. Okay, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. I was struck. Done. Wedding ring off, out. That is the one thing in a whole marriage that I will never, ever, ever forgive. And using it with this kind of correlation, like I said, we're still saying with the titles, you need to see it for 4 or 5 years. So if we won the FA Cup 4 years in a row, what would I do? I'd be like, right, do you know what? I've been very, very hard at it. And I've said these are my demands or these are my requirements for me to go, do you know what? Let me take a step back and reevaluate. And like I said, what I will say is, like you still, like me, like Ryan, who's in the chat and other people, you and I and Ryan will come on streams or social media and say, do you know what? Well done. We got that wrong. You did good here. You did that good here. But the other people on the other side that are staunch that way as we are this way won't say when he screwed up. They'll be like, oh, look at the stadium. Oh, look at the debt. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. No. Yeah, exactly. There's always... I will come on here. Exactly.
Manager.
I've said categorically on a number of times, this window, we've been fantastic. There are times where I was doubting it, but the whole club, and I include him in that, whatever they've done, they got the job done. They waited. I was going mad when Ashley Phillips got pulled on the plug when it was 9 million or whatever. Big fan of Ashley Phillips. They went back and got it, proved wrong. Daniel Levy did the right thing. You look at Van der Ven, where I was going mad because it weren't just done like that. Oh, but no, the biggest one, David Raya. I had a nuclear breakdown on We Are Tottenham TV when that deal fell through. Going, calling Mr. Levy every single name under the goddamn sun. Then Vicario, I was like, oh yeah, the cheaper fucking option. Well done, Tottenham Hotspur. Well done, the board. Well done, the scouting department. Well done, Ange. Because it proved that was the right move. And when the right moves are made, I will sit here and say, do you know what? The moves have been made correctly. Every single one, I can honestly say, this window, even Valise, we'll see. But this is what I want to see more of, and it culminate in winning trophies.
Everyone is just different, yeah? Some people aren't forgiving, some people are. Some people, you could do anything to them and they will just forgive you. Why? Because that is just the type of person they are. It don't make you less of a person. It don't make you more of a person. Everyone is different. That is what they say makes the human race unique. I don't forgive.
The variables matter. If Wickham win a Premier League title after getting promoted after 2 years, it's different. If Leicester win a Premier League title after 2 years, it's different. Spurs, we've been in title races for 10, 15 years. We should have won titles by then. We should have. So even if we win one title, it'd be magnificent. It'd be unbelievable. And I'll celebrate as a
the first time since 1961.
But we've been in the title chasing
65
bracket.
years.
We've had the players to win these trophies.
No, we haven't.
We've never had the so 15, 16,
we
16,
didn't have 17. The squad.
What did we need? How short were we? How short were we?
Well, that season, Leicester City. That season, Leicester City played 44 games. We played 65 because we were in Europe. We were in FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Leicester played more than 20 games less than us. That's why they had no major injuries that season.
The following season. What about the following season?
Well, in fact, Tommy, can you bring up this comment at 9:06 because it ties in with what you're saying? Because I wanted to answer this. Jimmy Costco 9:06 because this is my issue with Levy and Enoch, right? 9:06, Jimmy Costco.
Let's have a look. I think he's Dan's controlling the chat. Is this one?
Yeah,
this one.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
This one.
So he says if Levy wins the Premier League and you still hate him, it's a personal agenda. The reason why we want him out is because we never compete with the elite. Once he has achieved that, that's it. Right. I just want to clarify something. I right? I do not want Levy out because I want us to compete with the elite. That's not why I want Levy out. I've been Levy out, and I'm still Levy out until it happens. I'm Levy out because when we do compete with the elite, he doesn't do what's needed to get us over the line. Example, Poch, Levy, they had us in a good place. And then to stop buying players for 18 months when we were level with Liverpool, whilst Liverpool carried on and then they went past us, that's on Levy. When Harry Redknapp needed 2 players and we didn't sign them, that's on Levy. When you sack Mourinho before a cup final for Ryan Mason, how are you competing with the elite if you're sacking? So,
still, just I don't think.
Right, let me just finish my line. My last line. My last line.
Go on.
I was going to say, my final line is, I don't think Spurs have an issue competing with the elite. Our issue is, once we compete, are we going to do what's needed to beat them now? That's my issue with Levy. He does just enough to keep us sweet. That's been my issue with him.
Are we going to go and do basically what Arsenal have just done? That is the question.
Yeah.
That is it. And
sorry, Dad, I just want to add very quick because what Stella was saying. Also, when you put it on Levy, why bring in win now managers if you're not going to buy them win now players? That's on him. There are many things I can go on. Just because we win a league title, he's had the chances in this time to do it over and over again. Like when we had your Bowers, your Modric, your Van der Vaart, your Lennons, your Ledley Kings, your Lloris. You had the nuclear so many times of a great team, and instead of strengthening it, you stripped it.
Exactly. That's exactly my take. That's exactly my take. That's the
thing. It's nothing to do with an agenda. I have said, and Stella has said, ever since we've been on YouTube, there is nothing more I would love to do than to go onto every single channel that I go on. Obviously, We Are Tottenham TV being the biggest one. I go, do you know what? I got it wrong. I am not Levy this anymore. I now back this now.
No, but you still not. But Brian, you wouldn't have been wrong. You wouldn't have been wrong. In fact, it's people like you and the people that are deep Levy out that may push him to bring his money out to help us succeed once. We haven't done it for a long, long time. So right now, I think the right thing to do is to be Levy out, and if it happens,
Levy said
we had the opportunities that happened in the past. They won't go away. That won't go away no matter what we win in the future. That will never go away.
Yeah, we've missed the boat.
The best you can do now is what's in front of you. That's the only thing you can do. The best you can do now is what's in front of you. But you can't tell me. You can't tell me. But that back five. I always count the keeper as the back five. People don't always count them, but Prime Lloris, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Walker, Rose, Dembele, Ericsson, Kane. Don't
leave Wanyama out now because Wanyama was vital in that season.
That second year, he wasn't there
Ericsson,
for the Leicester title challenge, was he?
Brian Dele Alli, yeah.
But the following year, he was. That was the best Spurs team. After the Leicester year, that was the best.
When we got injuries, there's no cover. There's no cover.
No depth.
The cover was Ben Davies, Eric Tyers.
You need depth. It's no good. If you're in full competitions, you can't just be good enough for the league. You need depth. You absolutely need depth. It killed us in both seasons.
And can I say,
then to kill us even further, you go 500 days without a signing when we've got the best team there, the best structure we've ever had.
That's what killed us. That's what killed us.
That will never be forgiven. That will never be forgiven. Those years will never be forgiven. Can we win from that point on? And will we celebrate winning? Of course we will. But that will never be forgiven as far as I'm concerned. Not a chance. Not a chance. Right, we need to move on. We're going into the last hour of the show now. I never try and take these Tuesday night streams too long. So thanks for being in the chat. As you can see, we've got a fantastic panel. Danny, part of Hotspur Hood, Dagonator, Stel, who doesn't know the Dagonator and Stel. Before you subscribe here, after you subscribe here, make sure if you haven't already subbed to Tottenham on Tour, Tottenham Way, you absolutely do that. I'm seeing some new people in the chat too. So please hit that sub. It's completely free. And smash a like. Last time I checked, it was only on 30 odd likes. We've got 80 people watching. We've got a great show. Smash the like. So now back to I'd like you to put that green screen back up, Stel, if you can. We're top of the table. We are top of the table. So can we finish there? I'm going to stick this banner up quickly. Top of the table. So can we finish there? Top, second. Does it matter, Dan, whether we're top or second right now? Because there's a lot of debate whether we are top or second, according to the
Basically, we've scored more goals than them. That's the rules, and that's all.
Does it matter at this stage, though? Does it matter at this stage for you?
For me, the way I'm looking at everything is so far so good. I'm not going to start making any judgment until the end of January. And I 110% agree with what Brian said. If it all gets left to the last minute, even if we get the right players in, all right, I'll be satisfied that we got the players we need, but I will not be impressed. I am going to start making my judgments when it comes to February. When it comes to March, whereas I see so many Spurs supporters already saying, jump on the Ange train, do this, do that. We're going to do it. We're right up there in a title race. For me, a title race hasn't even started yet. But again, everybody sees things out of their own two eyes. They see it in a different way. Some people say a title race starts at the start before you've even played a game. I suppose you could say that, couldn't you? Because you're all in the race for the title, even though 95% of the teams aren't. But technically, by the map, you are. No, for me, the title race starts when there's about six to 8 games left and you're within 6 points of each other. For me, that's when the title race starts. That's when it kicks in. That's when you got to have the balls, because that's when teams go and do what Arsenal did last year and bottle it. And what Man City do is just step it up another gear and steam through it. Or other teams like Liverpool in the years have done it, or Man U, or Chelsea, or even Arsenal have done it back in the years, yeah? Again, everyone sees things different, and they do. But for me, the title race hasn't even started yet. We're doing well. So far, so good. I can't really complain. But one thing I will tell people, anyone who sits there and thinks we've done that out of pure skill, they haven't been watching the games. We have had some serious luck this year, which is one thing Tottenham don't usually get. We have had some serious luck. Man U, we should have been 2-3-1 down at half-time. Liverpool, do I even call it lucky it went down to 9 men? No, because I think it's harder to play against 9 men than it is to play against 11 men when you got 9 people parked in front of the bloody, when you got it parked in front. But other games I will give credit. Luton, that is a game we would have probably folded last year or the year before. Sheffield, that is another game we would have probably folded it, and we just wouldn't have been able to do it. So there's definitely been the upsides as well. But without that, we've definitely been lucky. But for me, the title race hasn't even started yet.
Stel, you love trolling. You love trolling the Arsenal fans. I see you on many channels trolling the Arsenal fans. It's good times, all right? It's good times. We're above them. And does it matter? Does it matter that we're above them in this international break?
Yeah, absolutely.
And can we do it, Stel? Can we do it?
Listen, let's have it right. Okay, let's have it right. The reason they're pissed off, the reason they're salty, and the reason they're in a mini meltdown and they keep pretending that they're not, and then whatever we say about them, they then use it against us. When we say to them, oh, look at you lot celebrating winning the league title against Man City. You did the same thing last year. You never learned. When we say that to them, oh, Tottenham celebrating winning the league because they're first. Whatever we say, they say the same back, right? They are absolutely rattled. And the reason they're rattled, the reason they're all over the place when it comes to Tottenham, and they can't stop talking about us, all we're doing is retaliating back because we're Tottenham. That's what we do. You're the enemy. We're going to hit back when you speak to us. That's how it works. That's football fan rivalry. The reason they're so salty, let's have it right, is because it's taken them 4 years to do what they're doing now. And our progress has been far quicker in a far shorter space of time. What we've done in 3 months has laid down far better foundations than the foundations they were built on with Arteta. Eighth, bottling fourth, fine, step-by-step process. Now they've arrived. Now they are league contenders. Now they are going to challenge for the league. There is no doubt. Arsenal aren't going away. They've got the squad, right? They're going to be there come into the season. But the fact that we're just scratching on the back of their necks, that we're stamping on their toes, and we're doing it in 3 months, it's bothered them. It's really bothered them because they've spent £700 million in 4 years to get to where they are, and we're above them. Now, it might last for 2 weeks. It might last for 2 months. Who knows? We might be the next Leicester City. No one knows. The reality is we're in a top 4 race. Okay, I think that's the reality. We're in a top 4 race.
I can agree with that.
But we are pissing them off, and they don't like it because they have told this amazing story to the world. Look at our rebuild. Arteta's writing books about this trust the process, his big revolution, and how he changed the culture at Arsenal, and this 4-year amazing journey, this encyclopedia they've written. We've come, and in 2 minutes, yeah, we can do that too. It's bothering them, and that's why they're salty, man. That is exactly why they can't handle it. And the longer we stay, the better. And I'm telling you this, mark my words, write it down, clip it, whatever you want. If we still stay within touching distance of first, come January, 2 things will happen. One, people like me, people like Brian, I'm guessing Dan, you, and everyone else, if Levy doesn't back Ange and give this title race a go because suddenly an opportunity's arisen, we are gonna have the mother of protests if he doesn't back Ange. We're not repeating the shit we've been through under the previous managers in the same position. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, with 1 game a week, if we can keep them injury-free and we do strengthen in January, listen, we are outside dark horses. We are, right? Don't kid yourselves. But so much has to happen for us to be there. And that's why I think we're only in the top 4 race. Too many things have to align, in my view. Never say never. Anything's possible. Leicester have proven it. But Liverpool are good, man. Brighton are freaking good. Villa are decent. Arsenal look good. City are City. They'll bounce back. The competition's much stronger than the season Leicester did it, which is, it'd be a miracle if we do it. But we're in it. Let's see where we go. But it will come down to Levy in January if we're still in the hunt. And with 1 game a week, with the only team, if you look at the table from 1st to 10th, only Crystal Palace in 9th and Spurs in 1st don't have European football. We're the only 2 teams in the top 10.
Some people would say that Champions League would be a success, would be a major success in Ange's first season, even if it was just to be a top 4 battle.
We've been there with Conte. We've done that with Conte.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. If it was in Conte's, then it will be in this one. I will be happy if we get top 4.
But I tell you now, Spurs fans are getting ahead of themselves.
Yes.
Saying we're going to win the league and we are title contenders now is crazy.
The problem is if we don't get top 4 and we get 5th or 6th, for me, it's still a pretty good season considering where we were. But then
look,
the fans,
no, Tommy, not for me.
Not
now.
Expected in many ways.
No. Tommy, sorry, the goalposts have moved, dude. The goalposts have moved. This is our best start since 1961. This is our greatest ever start. To not get
it's just a start, man. This is
better than last season. This is better.
I know, but last season was the same situation.
I'm playing devil's advocate a bit, but we're
playing better football. We're more attacking, more shots on goal, more possession.
These are facts. I'm only stating facts now. So
Man United are all over the place.
So out of the 8 teams, I'm going to bring Dago in a second. But out of the 8 teams we've played, 6 of our wins in the league, 4 of them against the bottom 4.
Yeah, but 5 of them have been away from home as well. But 5 of them have been away from home.
But it's still 4 against the bottom 4.
Dude, we couldn't beat half these teams last season away from home. Dan said it earlier. Dan said it earlier. Last season, we would have lost to Luton. We would have lost that game.
This is the biggest issue. You brought it up slightly here, Stel. You brought it up briefly, and I want to turn it to Daigle now as well, because Daigle said at the start that our transfer window is absolutely paramount. What we do in the following transfer window is paramount to how we do in the transfer window. Still, you mentioned injuries as well, and that's got to be a big thing as well, Brian.
Yes.
Do you trust the backup? Do you trust the backup behind Maddison, behind the centre backs, regardless of the transfer window? If we lose a Maddison, if we lose a Romero, our chances take a hit, right?
Right. So looking at it this way, the way you're asked about where we finish in the league, and I'll tell you how I've been from at the start of the season before a ball was kicked. I was like anywhere above where we finished in 8th last season. I thought this was a clean sweep. This is a free hit. Like Poch, give him a year to get his team assembled, and then the next year we go. Just get higher than we did last season. And that was where I started. Then after a few games, I was like, oh, hello. And I moved that up to 5th and 6th. I automatically moved that up. Then after grounding out a great performance at the Emirates, getting the win against Liverpool, no matter by the manner, a win is a win, and then against Luton, you got it. Like Stel said, being at the top right now, psychologically, this is huge for the players, huge for us players, and this is why other teams are getting pissed off. They're like, oh, this is the Harry Kane team that we're going to finish 10th, 12th, whatever, and not compete. Yeah. And then I don't know how many people watch Match of the Day, and then when I saw this stat, I was like, oh, hello. When they said after 8 games, the amount of teams that have had 20 plus points in the Premier League at this point, there has been 28. 26 of them have got top 4.
Exactly.
Statistically. And 11 of them have gone on to win the league. Now, do I think we're going to make that 12? No. No, I don't. And I just think we're going to run out of steam. And that's no bad thing. Do I think we're going to make it 3 teams that haven't made the Champions League and become that 3rd? Or do I think we're going to increase that to 27? We're increasing that to 27. I just can't see right now. You look at that stat that they have, that if you're bottom of the league since Christmas, you go down. I think only 3 teams have been able to beat it. There's certain times like Stell's got Will or sort of away. That's the stat nut. And he speaks that language. He will look at everything and he will take stats over eye tests. I'm 9 times out of 10 the other way round.
Mm-hmm.
But with this stat right here, that only 28 teams have made it to 20 plus points after 8 games, and 26 of them have gone on for top 4. I'm not saying that we're getting 3rd or 2nd. I've gone from, like I said, finishing better than last season to maybe Europa to now Champions League. Whether that be a last minute dash into 4th, whether that be comfortably 4th, or maybe even creeping into 3rd. I think Tottenham Hotspur now get Champions League football. We're based on that stat. And
so
the way
far,
this team
so
is playing,
good.
when it comes to, like Stel said, right now, should players drop out injured? Huge problem. Like Dan said, and like I've said, or agree with me, like I said, this window in January, I've said always, this isn't about how much we spend on a player. Doesn't matter if we've heard from this player. Doesn't mean if this comes from an established football nation that we all know of, like a Brazil, and Italy, or Germany, or Holland, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter if they come from Timbuktu, Canada, wherever. These players, this window, and the way I'm judging Levy, and what will get us into top 4 as well, is these players being there in the first 10 days of January.
No.
FA Cup first, that's it. If all those align,
Brian, question
Champions League football. Yeah, go on, bro.
Question for you. Oh, by the way, I'll give you another stat, by the way. This popped into my head before I ask you my question. On average, the team that finishes 4th, I think they get on 67 points, which roughly means if we win half of our remaining games, we've got 4 on average.
Yep.
So,
anyway, throwing these stats out,
it's top 5. This
I said on average.
Boys, we're
I said on average, right? I'm just saying.
We're finishing in the bottom half now.
But question, no, we won't. A question, right, for Brian, right? If we are 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, 6 points off of first place in January.
Yep.
And Spurs go and buy a really good centre back, a goal scorer.
Yep.
Maybe not necessarily a striker, but just someone that does get goals.
Yep.
And some kind of cover in the midfield area, whether it's wing or centre mid. We go and get those 3 players, and it's like the Kulu and Bentancur impact that we had under Conte when them 2 come in and the whole team just went to a different level and got us 4th. If we are 4 or 5 points off first and we go and get those 3 players with 1 game a week, are we not in a title race then? If that, there's a lot of ifs. I've said if there's a lot of ifs. Yeah.
What I will add to that is it all
plus
depends.
Bentancur's coming back.
It all depends. And does Bentancur come back, the player, blah, blah, blah. But the thing I will say with that is with that, what I think would, not just Tottenham Hotspur 1 game a week, what I think is vital to that is how deep our competitors go in the Champions League. If Man City get through to the final again, if Arsenal get through to the latter stages, if Liverpool, then you've got to think them playing 2 games, maybe even the FA Cup, then through that could enhance just our 1 game a week. I think there's just too many. Look at Man City last season. They started badly, and then come January, they just went, right, that's it now. We take this shit seriously. And
it wasn't even January. It was about March that they did it.
No, it was earlier than that, man. It was earlier than that.
I've got a question for everyone, yeah? Because this is one thing that goes on my mind, yeah? I mean, again, the phrase I use, so far, so good, no one can complain. We've had our luck, but we've also played well, we've deserved wins, and we've been bloody lucky, like I said. But with a lot of, and obviously, where we are, it's going to then put your expectations up. Of course it is, yeah? But I think with a lot of Spurs supporters out there now going on about, we can win the league, we can do this, we should be going for the title now, we're in a title race. Do you think we're actually putting more pressure on our players by doing that than need be? Because they're going to know stuff's going on.
I think the media are doing that, Dan.
Oh, the media do it anyway. The media do it anyway. But if you watch half of these channels, at least half of the people on here are saying we're in the title race. They can. But
that's happy clapper talk. It's happy clapper.
I know, but that's my point. That is what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. We've all missed more pressure than we need on the players by doing that.
We've all missed something out as well, and Sean Butler has put it in there, and it's right. This isn't just about we're talking about who comes in and this and this and this happens. We also do have to get players out. Players have to leave this football club and get out and make room, whether it be a Dyer or whoever. It's not just about players coming in. These players, we all know how this goes. Players are going to have to go not before they come in. We're going to have to do something here. That's another vital thing of it. I don't want to see. I would rather see.
Why must players go?
I agree to a certain extent, but some players not so much. Like we sold Sanchez the day before the transfer window ended, and we didn't sign a replacement. So when January comes, we need to sign a replacement straight away.
Listen, I've said it before, and I'll go on it. Ashley Phillips is the real deal. I would rather see Ashley Phillips on the bench every single week than Eric Dyer. Check everything I've been saying.
100%.
He is the real deal.
Why must we sell players? Why do we have to sell players?
Because I don't want them anywhere near the changing room, mate. I don't want them anywhere near.
But they're there now.
Yeah, I know.
I agree.
The further and further this goes on, and should we get the injuries, should we get the suspensions, we need them out. We need them out. This isn't these players. All right, you can say it's all well and good now, but like you said, still, if Romero gets an injury now,
yeah, exactly.
You know who's coming in. You know who's coming in.
Yeah, but come January. Sorry. Come January. Sean Butler, I think he put 25-man squad is full. Come January, you submit another squad, don't you? After the second January window,
you can totally change the whole thing around.
So you don't. So the players that we keep at the club don't have to stay in the squad.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but I don't want that man anywhere near this. We've seen what he does. We've seen. Yeah, listen, there's been a wholesale change.
I think where Daigle's coming from.
You want players out because you think they might be toxic. You think
I want them out because they're toxic. I don't want them even to be.
I get it.
Listen, we don't put players in the reserves, do we? We don't put players in the reserves. We say if we can't sell them, let's just put them in the reserves.
It's because Sean Butler's reason was different. That's why there's two different reasons why.
Yes, not for the 25-man squad. I just don't want them anywhere near.
So the 25-man squad, as Sean says, is a 25-man squad. But Phillips shouldn't really be in the 25-man squad. He is because we haven't signed a replacement. He'll go back down to under 21s because he's 18 years old. So you sign a centre-back straight away. You get a centre-back straight away. You don't need to sell Dyer even. You just get a centre-back straight in there. You put Phillips back to under 21s. Fantastic. He's got another 6 months to learn his trade.
I don't think he will, though. Phillips is in the first team to stay, mate.
It's a big. He's played 7 league games for Blackburn. There you go. It's a big step up to say that this guy's ready.
Michael Owen came on as a 16-year-old against Wimbledon as a scrawny little kid against a crazy gang and scored a goal within the first 10 minutes. That's a one-off
in 30 years, Brian. That's a one-off
or two
people in 30 years.
Look at all these other youngsters that have come in and start playing well at their age. Look at the players around the world that come on. You look at
Papsar had 38 games for Mets, and he had
but there's other players around world football.
7 games for a mid-table championship side.
What's harder, Blackburn Rovers in the Championship or Mets in a Farmers League? I'm being serious. I don't know the answer. What's harder?
Well, if you're giving me 50 games in League 1 over 7 games in mid-table Blackburn, I'm taking 50 games.
Okay, so let me put this another way through to you, Tommy.
Fair enough.
How many 17-year-olds get into a championship level first team, playing championship level football, which is so hard, fast paced, so brutal, so physical. Blackburn Rovers don't just go, oh yeah, we'll just plonk you in because you're available. He's that. Doesn't matter. He has played first team football for a champ. We're talking championship level. Look at Dele Alli when he was at Milton Keynes. Yes, he played more games. He was playing League Two football. So why should a League Two footballer just go, right, okay, you're starting in the Premier League? And look how he turned out to start off with.
It was for League One, wasn't he? But he's
League One. But if you're playing in that league,
he had a year and a half at MK Dons and was
if you're playing in that league, yeah, but there's still the jump to the Premiership. It don't matter if you play 200 games in League One. You go up into the Premiership. Mauricio Pochettino went, there you go. And off he went. Not saying that Phillips all of a sudden is going to be the next Dele Alli, but he is a lot better and a lot more. Look at the size, the stature of him. He is a lot more prepared and able to play.
I'll take it. I'd put him in front of Eric all day long. But if you're fighting for a title and you're fighting for top four, I can't trust someone with 7 appearances. I'm thinking you need someone bigger in there, and you can put him down to under 21s and learn his trade down there for a little while. Alfie Devine's magnificent. He's a top player. 10, 15 years ago, he probably could have come straight to the Premier League and got appearances. But this is a very, very different time.
To be fair,
the depth of quality is so unbelievable. I think throwing a player that's played 7 games and you're challenging for the title and the top 4, I think you've got to fix that in January. You've got to get another centre back in straight away.
Tommy, I think Ange is more thinking how you are, and the reason I say that is he tends to pick Højbjerg to come on the pitch before Skip or before any youngsters, and I think that's because he's got experience. So I think Ange will probably go for experience in those situations.
That one I disagree. No, that one I've got to disagree
with.
It's
about a balance, isn't it?
Because Højbjerg is better.
Balance.
Skip is
always a balance.
Skip is not good.
No, but there's youngsters like Alfie Devine and Donington.
He's out on loan, isn't he? Alfie Devine.
Alfie's at Port Vale. Alfie's currently playing.
We had a young lad on the bench. We had a young lad on the bench from the academy. He hasn't had a chance. And I think forget Skip, Dan. That's a bad example, but I think Ange would most likely pick an experienced player over a youngster, unless he's got no choice. Like Veliz, he had to play Veliz because there's no other striker. There's like no one else.
Point on this one, then. In my point on this is the way I see this one. Yeah. Now, if we lose a defender, God forbid, but we do, I personally think the man's got the right sort of brain on him to also cover his own backside. To use Young instead of Dyer. Why?
My bad.
Because if Young comes on and that's a bad game, I don't think he'd get the same amount of stick, because it'd be like, all right, at least he didn't play Eric Dyer. Because I would say the majority of Spurs fans want Eric Dyer out because he's just absolutely useless. The phrase I use for him, you could probably put a statue there and it'd rebound the ball more times than he does, yeah? And Young would get... It gets some leeway. Yes, he's had a bad game, whatever, but people would be happy with Ange because he had the bottle to basically tell Eric Dyer to shut up, knows he's crap, and give the young boy a go. I think that would give Ange a bit of drifting distance, sort of thing. It would give him a bit of leeway.
I still wouldn't, but at the same time, I wouldn't blame Ange if he did put Dyer in. I don't rate him at all. I think
you could understand why.
If Dyer comes on, there's going to be. Dan's right. If Dyer comes on and makes a mistake, there's going to be a backlash.
There's never been a backlash with Eric Dyer. There's never been a backlash.
No, but this time there will. This time there will, because
I've heard it 100 million times. I heard it 100 million times.
Because there's another option this time. There's another option on the bench. There hasn't been another option in the past.
This flat for 10 years at this football club. Dyer's been there 10 years too long. He's never got this flat.
Because there's
not got the flat.
Tommy, because there's not been another option. There's not been another option. Tommy, there's not been another option.
Sanchez got booed off after coming on for 10 minutes.
Tommy, there's not been another option. In the past, it's either Dyer or it's Sanchez. Sanchez has gone. Now the option is Dyer or Phillips. So now there's a different option.
Still, we should boo Dyer if he ever comes. I can't stand the guy, but it won't happen. We accept him. This Spurs fan base is too accepting.
But if he comes on and costs us a goal, we lose. I think there'll be a backlash. Whereas Dan's right. If Young comes on and makes a mistake, we'll be like, well, at least he gave him a chance. Dan's right on that. Yeah. I agree with Dan. I get it.
And I
definitely give Phillips a chance of a Dyer. Dyer's the worst player in the team. Dyer should have gone a long time. Dyer's the worst player in the team. But it's But also, I mean, look. There's a lot of if, buts, and maybes. If my nan was, if my nan had wheels, she'd be a bike. You know, there's a lot of ifs. But you know.
But look at what Dyer did at the start of the season. Yeah, Dyer managed to upset a lot of fans at the start of the season with the few stunts he pulled, and it blatantly showed he almost thought he had that privilege to be in that team when we all know he ain't good enough. He upset a lot more than he usually does, and I personally think
I agree
that he's just not wanted. You're obviously going to get the Spurs fans out there who are always so forgiving, which is half the reason why we're in the trouble that we get through and everything and that, because we're just too forgiving. Like I had arguments with others. Yeah, but Ange's in. Give Ndombele another go. Maybe Ange likes him and that. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, if Ange couldn't come to Tottenham, any manager's going to check out the players and that before they even get there, yeah? If Ange couldn't have worked out that Ndombele was worthless and wasn't worth a go before he even gave him a try, then for me, Ange, he wouldn't have been a good manager. A manager already half knows his team before he goes there with all the checking up. But everybody a lot of people go on, oh, but give Ndombele another chance. Maybe Dyer will come good. Maybe Lo Celso will get stuck into it. People still saying now, oh, give Richarlison time. Give him time. He scored 4 fucking goals in over a year. And people, Spurs fans especially, we are one of the worst, if not the worst for it. Yeah, but give him time. Give him another chance. I think Eric Dyer's lost his time.
And the fan base, this is the fan base. You're analysing the fan base, and I'm with you. The guy is so entitled. At the start of the season, we heard him say he's going to knock on Levy's office and have a word with Levy. Go past Ange and talk to Levy about not being in the team. We need these guys off. But that's where my biggest praise for Ange comes in. Biggest praise. Dropping Dyer completely out of the squad when Sanchez was there. Hasn't started a game. Porro in for Royal. Royal's not good enough. Royal's never been good enough. I don't care if he had 2 good games last season. Straight in, put Porro in. Attacks the best form of defence. Fantastic. Dropped another player that everyone loves. He's a nice guy off the pitch. Dyer's a nice guy off the pitch. If they're not good enough, they're not good enough. This is where the biggest respect for me comes from Ange. Not 8 games unbeaten. These small decisions, throwing these players that are not good enough to the wayside. 100%, I'm with him there. Even Sarah or Hotspur, putting Hotspur in would have been an easy decision. He's a leader of men. He is a leader. Viking, he gets this nickname for good cause. Would have been easy to put him in, but he's made some tough decisions with leaders in the dressing room. You know, real leaders, and that's where my biggest praise goes to Ange. He really, really does.
Because he's had the bottle to do it. And you can see he has. And personally, but
I trust Ange over the fans. I don't trust the fans. I don't trust the fans. I don't.
No,
one good game from Dyer. If Dyer plays in one good game, we're like, keep going.
Yeah,
you know,
in
he's
general,
all right, he's back.
Spurs fans, they're too forgiving, Tom. Far too forgiving. This is half the problem that Tottenham are what they are. Yeah, it's all good going on about Levy and he's the main issue, and that I know that. But when you've got a set of fans out there who we just are not ruthless. Now, you go out to Italy or Spain on some of them teams, and a player has a very poor game. The fans make it very clear, we don't want to see this player for another 2 or 3 games.
Yeah,
I don't care if it costs 50 million. And then in Italy, you even get it like, if this player turns up on the pitch, we will turn up on his wife's door. And they will in Italy. And over here, as Spurs fans, as of what we are way too forgiving, way too not ruthless, and I'll give him another go. But I think in general, Eric Dyer has crossed that line with
we accept mediocrity, Dan. We accept mediocrity.
Yes. Yeah. But I think he has crossed that line with more than 50%.
Stel, you said that the fan base won't accept it if Dyer comes on and makes an error. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. My biggest concern is if Dyer plays one game and plays very good, because every bad players can have good games. Then what happens? Is he a good player again? And many fans, the fickle flip-flop fans, will say he's a very good player again.
Well,
I think what you got to look at this as well.
Maguire did it for Brentford against Brentford. Maguire did it against Brentford on the weekend. So, yeah, go on, Brian.
Yeah, I was just about to say, listen, as much as we talk about him, and we've already spoken about him too much, Eric Dyer will not play a minute under Ange. He's been on the bench a few times. He's got the first 3 or 4 games, you weren't even in the squad. He ain't coming on. He isn't coming on unless there's an absolute
I don't think he is.
horror injury and Phillips or someone else is. I actually think if it came to it, he would more likely, if Romero or Van der Ven, please God, doesn't happen, had to go off, he'd probably put Højbjerg and risk Højbjerg in defence rather than putting Dyer on. That's
So
what
why-
I've got. I just do not see him getting a minute. I
Why
just
is
do
he on the
not see him
bench
getting a
then?
minute.
Why is he on the bench? So why is he on the
Yeah,
bench?
fill out the numbers, mate. Fill out the numbers. I'd rather Ashley Phillips be there. It's like Ashley Phillips 1 week and then Dyer the other.
There's a very high chance, especially in the Christmas period, that we could lose both, because Romero has got a big history of injuries. Van der Ven almost got injured, but they've both almost been injured this season for us, haven't they? Van der Ven and Romero. So there's a high chance both will get injured. Then you're going to have to play Dyer pretty much, unless, as you say, Brian, Højbjerg goes back.
Then you got Davies actually. You'd probably even put Davies on ahead of Dyer.
Oh, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. There's no way Davies can play in a 2 centre-back system, but that is a very good point. I've heard a lot of people say that Davies could pop in.
Dyer or Davies passing it out from the back.
I would take Davies over Dyer any day of the week. I would take Davies over Dyer.
They're both terrible.
They're both terrible. But I'd take Davies over Dyer all day long. Right. Okay. Final segment of the show. Well, before we get to Muppet of the week, I mean, he's the main guy in the thumbnail. Richie Rich or Richie Ditch. So Brazil's number 9. 2 goals in 35 games. Many fans have really got on his back massively since the Luton game, in particular. 2 big misses in that game, as we've all seen in the first half. Well, in the first 15 minutes, we can say first 12 minutes. Is the backlash he's getting warranted? Dan, I'm going to come to you last because I know you love talking about Richie. And I'm going to start with Daigle now. I know Dan gets very emotional when it comes to Richarlison, like many fans these days. But yeah, Richie Rich or Richie Ditch? Is it unwarranted, the hate he's getting?
Listen, I don't care who the player is. Criticise their game, criticise their performance. Don't criticise the player and his personal life and blood. Yes, you had a bad game. Yes, you had but it's going levels and levels. Not just for Richarlison and not just for Spurs players. They're doing their job. Yes, they may not be fit for purpose. Yes, they may not be good enough. Whatever way you want to. I literally thought games like Luton were made for Richarlison. Physical, where he's going to get into a battle with people. And these are the kind of games he would thrive on more. I basically think the games like Sheffield United, Luton, and the games that teams are playing the low block and being tough in defence, I think those games are made more for Richie than they are for Son. I think the games where there's space in the back and everything else, Son is a billion times out of a billion. The first shot. I'll give you an example. When we had Rafa van der Vaart, who I loved, adored, and just wanted to see him as often as possible, we knew what we were getting with him. But the one game I could never understand him playing in was Stoke away. Because Stoke just came in and went bang, off you go, just kicked lumps of shit out of him. And it was the game to go, right, this game isn't suited for you. We can bring you off the bench to have a better effect, but we need some steel, we need some brawn in there to match Stoke up. So I feel that way with Richarlison with these physical teams. This is the kind of game where he can use his strength. He can use the attributes that suit him best, whether it be in the centre, whether it be in the left, if Son's playing up centre. And I've tried to back him and back him and back him. And even after Liverpool, I was like, there you go, Richie, that's what we want to see. Against Sheffield United, we were all saying, that's what we want to see. He really did himself no favours at all. Forget the glaring miss, the first one. Yes, he was having his shirt back. The second one, he did absolutely nothing in that game. Nothing that people can remember. Like of any. Oh, do you remember when Richarlison made that pass or made that tackle or got into that? And it's getting to the point where you know as soon as Brennan Johnson is fit, Whether it's Johnson on the left, Kulu on the right, or they switch, which is what I'd like to see actually. Kulu on the left, and Kulu needs a lot more credit than he's been getting recently. And Johnson on the right, he's done. He's done. He won't be getting into this team. The choice will be Kulusevski and Johnson, and he's only got himself to blame for his performances. I'm going to keep going back to that word. His performances. He's meant to do his job on the pitch. He hasn't been doing it. But the abuse that these players, like Bissouma, got with the red card, vile. And it not just Tottenham players, other players as well.
Were you there? You've been going to the away games, Brian. Were you there? Were you at the game?
I was at Burnley. I was at Arsenal. No, I weren't at Luton. I was back here. I got back here last Monday. So I watched it at the Scotland Yard. But the way social media is, what I will say is when you go away, as soon as he's warming up or whatever, singing and I fucking love his song. His song is brilliant. I love it. I just wish we got to sing it. I mean, how you can get a song out of that? Agadoo for goddamn Ericsson, and there's another. I can't remember the other song that I go on about. How us Spurs fans can find songs out of these songs? Just
supercalifragilistic.
Mate, that you know that's a personal favourite of mine. But this is the thing. The abuse he's getting off the pitch is totally uncalled for and totally unwarranted. But his performances on the pitch, which is up for criticism. Luton, he did himself absolutely no favours whatsoever. And like I said, when you say Richie whatever or Richie Ditch, as soon as Johnson's fit and ready to go, he's off he won't be starting, in my opinion.
Richie Ditch. First of all, Jacob Farrell puts in a very generous super chat. Pick up Tommy and gang, who's coming in for Biss. So obviously Bissouma's going to be banned for the next game, but he's still on 4 yellow cards, so he's only 1 yellow card away from another game. So that'll probably happen in the next 5 games. He'll have 2 banned. So it's going to be a serious consideration for who comes in. So Dan, first of all, who would you bring in? You've got Skip, Højbjerg, Bentancur still out, so you can't bring him in just yet. Who'd you bring in? And this whole the Richarlison situation. You're muted, Dan.
My bad. First off, I'll go to Richarlison. Yeah, I've made up my own phrase for this man. Yeah, like to describe how I feel how he plays. Yeah, you actually unscrew the man's head. I'm saying this in a nice way, by the way. You actually unscrew the man's head.
This is Dan being nice. This is Dan being nice.
Yeah, you unscrew the man's head. Just leave it on the side. Then let him play football. He really would look like a headless chicken running around the pitch. That is how poor I rate this player for what he is meant to be in that. He runs around that pitch. I can't say he doesn't put effort in. The man does, maybe even too much effort. But it's like he's got jelly on his boots, 2 left feet. He just does not know whether he's coming or going. And some of the chances that he's missed, they're harder to miss than they are to bloody score. I just think this man is absolutely shocking. I barely even think that he's Premier League quality. I think he is that poor. All right, he might have done all right at Everton and that here and there. I honestly I do not rate this player one bit. And I have tried with a lot of other fans, like, come on, let's give him a chance. Give him a chance. He puts the effort in. I totally agree with what Brian said. What goes on in his personal life, in his head, whatever, it's got nothing to do with it for me, yeah? It's the way he plays on the pitch. As far as I'm concerned, a player can be the biggest wanker ever, but as long as he does his job on the pitch, I couldn't care less. Richarlison, for me, if we get a 10, 20 mil offer for him in January, get rid of him. Bring him one of the youth team. I don't care if we don't buy a replacement for him. He's got to go. I think he's absolutely shocking.
I was going to get on to Stel. And ask him that exact question. You know, would you cut your losses and sell Richarlison? But Dan, who would you bring in? Because I've got to go. It's a very generous super chat from Jay. Who would you bring in for Biss? Next game.
It's Højbjerg.
You're not a Skip fan either. You're not a Skip fan. So
no, I'm not. For me, Skip gets it too easy because he come through the ranks and everything, and he had a literally spectacular season at Norwich. I'm not saying he's not Premier League quality, but he's not quality for what we need. I think Højbjerg gets more stick than he deserves. I don't think he's a great player, but one thing that man is a workaholic. and he will give it his all, and he can steady a game up. In Denmark, they play him as attacking midfielder as well, defensive midfielder, and box to box, and he seems to get the job done.
He's certainly more of an attacking midfielder for Denmark. Yeah, he gets up the pitch, doesn't he?
Exactly. I think he's definitely, over the past 3 years, I'd say he's been one of our most reliable players. I'm not saying good, but you'll always at least get a 6.5 out of him, sort of thing. He's a bit like a Ben Davies. Now, I ain't saying Ben Davies good, but one thing you will get effort and it'll be okay. I think Hojbjerg gets more stick than he deserves, and I think he's more than good enough to be a squad member. No,
the easiest way I say this when it comes to Hojbjerg, and I've said this since he came. If we went round to Spurs fans, all Spurs fans, whether you liked him or not, and said, right, name one player you can pretty much guarantee that will be fit and available to play week in, week out, I think 95% first name that comes out of their mind or out their head is Hojbjerg.
Yep.
For reliability of being fit and ready to play and willing to play whatever, and you can't knock that quality in a player. That look at the way and the manner he plays as well.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one man, and I'm a fan of his, or I was a huge fan of his for his first 2 seasons, was disappointed with him last season, but thinks he's okay to do the job. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you ask me, one player that you guarantee will be fit and ready to go Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. Every single
week in, week out. It was getting to the stage where he was burnt out last season, like Son, wasn't it? Every game.
And
he's only human.
And for Denmark.
I'm not his biggest fan. I'm definitely not Hojbjerg's biggest fan. I'm definitely not his biggest fan. But the guy was burnt out. And as Daigle puts it rightly, I mean, literally, his fitness levels are fucking incredible. And he covers a lot of kilometres. He covers a lot of kilometres every week. So
box to box, he'll do fine. He's no playmaker or nothing and that, but you can use him as a defensive midfielder. You can also use him box to box. I personally think box to box is his better play because he does get forward. He's just nowhere near the standards of Bissouma because for me, Bissouma's the best player we got hands down. But again, personal opinion. But I think Hojbjerg will cover that role more than respectable.
Right, Stelios, who comes in for Biss? Hojbjerg and Richie or Ditchy. Richie Rich or Richie Ditch.
So regarding Bissouma,
take it away, Stel. Take it away.
Ditchy Rich. Regarding Bissouma, there's 3 options I'd go with. One, I'd play Hojbjerg, but play him as the 8 and let Papa Sarr be the 6. The other option is I'd bring in Lo Celso as the 8 because I think he had a really good pre-season and he hasn't had a run yet because of injury. So I'll potentially bring in Lo Celso and see what he can do because we are at home against Fulham. It's not going to be a massively, massively difficult game. It's not going to be easy, but it's a good game to give him a fair crack. Or I wouldn't play 4-3-3. I'd change the system so we don't have to play with 3 in the middle. So they're the 3 things I would do because Bissouma's out. Regarding Richarlison, I'm gonna. The day we signed him, I lost my mind. Every single show I've done, every single Monday night on my channel, Tottenham Away, ever since we've signed him, I've cussed him. At some point, I've found a way to cuss him. I'm not a fan of him. I never liked him as a footballer. I didn't like his shithousery at Everton. He pissed me off whenever he did things. I'm not a fan of his on a footballing level. What Brian said's right off the pitch is completely different. But this is how I'll explain it, right? A really, really good coach that I know, who's a Spurs fan, I said to him, what do you think of Sissoko when he used to play for Spurs? And he said to me, the most technical players in any team have to be your midfielders. How is this guy a midfielder at Tottenham? How on earth have we allowed this to happen? He has no technical ability, this guy. And he's playing centre mid, right? Same analogy. When you're going to be a striker, doesn't matter whether it's a tap-in, a back heel, a header, a flick, a penalty, you have got to score goals. He doesn't score them. He doesn't score goals. And he's a striker. It's that simple.
Still, can I just chuck one thing at you?
I don't even think he is a striker.
Still, I want to go back one step.
What did we sign him for then?
No, I want to go back.
To be fair, at Everton, 90% of his career was a left winger. He's Calvert-Lewin.
I just want to ask.
We signed him as the Kane replacement because we knew Kane was leaving, though.
Still, I want to ask you a question. Basically, I want to go back to tactics and what you would do with that game.
Yeah.
I said, I can't remember what game it was. It was Luton. What I said, and I did this. And I said, if Maddison or Son had to be out for that game, who would you say out and why? And I said, Son. And the way I got around Son was but would you see, when you're saying Højbjerg at the 8, or could you see, and let me finish, Emerson right back, move Porro up to right wing, move Kulusevski into the centre to play the top, and then you've got Porro, Son, and let's say Johnson's back.
No, only for one reason, Brian. Only for one reason. And this is a personal thing. It's not coaching gospel. I believe a winger has to be able to take on a man. Kulu can beat a man. Solomon can beat a man. I don't think Porro can beat a man.
He couldn't beat a chicken. Now, look, what Brian said there,
That's a personal thing, Daigle, yeah? This is a personal thing.
You see that Luton
winger had
game,
to beat a man.
I think Ange should have taken a couple of chances because it was the perfect time to do it. Now we all know Maddison and Son have had a knock or two, yeah? I would have started that game with Royale at the back because whether it sounds disrespectful or not, it is only Luton. I know you don't underestimate because you get hurt, but I would have stuck Royale at the back because the other major problem we have got at Spurs, we've only got 2 people who can cross a ball. One is now out for the season, and he was one that everybody slated, and I've stuck up for that player through thick and thin. I've watched him play through the years. Paratici is not a wing-back. It only worked at Inter for him as a wing-back because the Italian league is a lot slower, and he still got 10 or 11, was it 11 assists? And then the minute we started playing him up in the left, where he's meant to be played for Croatia, where he played for Inter a lot, where he played for Bayern Munich, he was getting the crosses in. We've only got one other player who can cross the ball, and that is Porro. So I would have stuck Porro in the right. I would have stuck Kulusevski in the middle for Maddison. Reason being is because sooner or later we're going to lose Maddison on an injury, whether it's a week, a month, whatever, but it will happen, or he's going to be worn out a little bit. Kulusevski for me, again, I follow Italian football. Juventus used to play him as an AMC. He was on the wing most of the time, but then they bought, what's his name, Chiesa, and then they started playing him in the middle in front of Bentancur. I feel that on the right-hand side, he's just too predictable. The defenders already stepped to the right before he even steps to the left. But stick him as a playmaker, he can place a ball, a direct one at that, and it gives him more option there. And then on the left, I would have probably gone and give Brian Gill a go for 60 minutes. And then up front, if he's got to stick with Richarlison there, stick with Richarlison there. But I'd have given the Argentinian young fella we got to go up there. But I thought against Luton was the perfect time to have a little mess about with the team.
The problem is if you mess about and lose 2-0, then that's it.
Dan, the thing is, Porro, right? Porro's really good when he makes those overlapping runs, or the Kulu gets the ball, inverts, Porro runs, and then he feeds Porro. That works. The only wide players that can actually take on a man that I've actually seen beat players with skill, or even just out and out pace, are Kulu, Solomon, and Udogie. I've seen Udogie dribble past players. I've never seen Porro take on a man. I've never seen Perisic once in a while. But
you got to look at the showboat that Porro did against Liverpool when you and me were in the studio. When he rolled the guy, he can take on a man. I don't
agree with it. I think Porro can take on a man.
I've not seen him beat a man. I've seen him make runs and the ball being fed to him. I've seen him do that and put in really good crosses. But as a winger, an out-and-out winger, not making overlapping runs, people could say what they want about Kulusevski. His ball control is brilliant.
Yeah.
Whether he's got the pace and whether he can stop going inwards and sometimes go outwards is different. But on the ball, Kulu's got feet.
I think what happens with Porro is he doesn't always have to beat his man, because I think they're looking for that overlapping run. So when he overlaps, Maddison and as you say, Kulu are automatically looking for Porro there, so he doesn't have to take on his man. He's
one point here, quick, Tom. I just want to make a comment at the fellow who's put a comment here. Dan, Kulu was played as a cam at Parma, not Juve. Well, if you actually check back in history, yes, he was. When they bought Chiesa, they started sticking Kulusevski behind the striker in front of Bentancur. If you don't believe me, go check up the history. I follow Serie A like I do the Premiership, because Inter Milan is my second team. I've watched it enough times. I'm not saying they've done it all the time with him, because they bought him for the right. But when they got Chiesa, they started sticking him in the middle. And go check it up. They did on quite a few games as well.
Jimmy,
before you carry on, I've got to go. I've just got to do something for Ilana. So, Tommy, sorry, I'm going to have to cut it short, brother. But, Tommy, always a pleasure.
Brother,
Dan,
tell us where we can find Tottenham on tour. Tell us where
they can find them exactly where you said, mate, at Tottenham on tour. That's the exact place to find myself. Where can they find Tottenham on tour? They can find us at Tottenham on tour. Look, this man occasionally makes an appearance. Mr.
Danny
Kyriakis.
K. I was going to shout out Danny K.
My brother from another mother, Ireland, Kaufman, Ryan, and Amir, as well as Johnny. But all you guys on the panel, big up, much love. I will speak to you all soon. Everyone in the comments, have a wicked evening.
Take it easy, brother.
And as always, Levy.
So we are coming right to the end of the stream now. I want to say big thank you to Angelo in the chat. It's been here a long time. Hayich said he's subscribed for the first time. Same with everyone else. If you're here for the first time, please make sure you subscribe. Hit that like. I think we've got 90 odd people watching, only on 50 likes. Get us to 60. 60 would be magnificent. Get us to 60 likes. Completely free to hit that like. Keeps his channel rolling. You're going to see Dan a lot on this channel. He's releasing his own stuff now, so there's a hell of a lot of content coming your way. But yeah, the Kulu, the thing with Kulu at cam for me is I like small men at cam. Traditionally, you have the small, easy first touch release. Can shrug both shoulders, drop both shoulders quickly, like the Ericssons, like the David Silvers. They're the best. They're the most traditional Bernardo Silvers. You don't really see too many tall players there. But as an option, if you do have to revert things a little bit, due to injuries, then that's certainly an option. A lot of people calling out for Porro to start on the right wing and Emerson to start right back. I'll do anything. I would give anything to never see Emerson and Dyer play. People say I'm being harsh on Emerson. No, I think they're both absolute trash. Nowhere near good enough. So I wouldn't be going
Do people not remember what Emerson was like? I know he scored in the game, but defensively at Brentford, he was shocking, man.
He's always been shocking. He's just slightly better at
every ball over the top.
The problem with Emerson defending is that his positioning is so bad in the first place.
He can't read the game.
He gets more opportunities to make changes because he's so far out of position. That's why his tackling stats were high. I don't like stats, but I looked at Aurier's tackling stats as well a couple of years back. And I looked at Aurier's tackling stats for the whole season. I said, it reminds me of Aurier, the way he just runs about, doesn't really know where he's going. And he was in the top four. Aurier was third in the whole season. And I looked at Emerson's in the first 6 months, and he was third. It's not because they're great tacklers. It's because they get more opportunities to tackle. The tackle ratio, that should be a stat you look at, not how many tackles. He's so far out of position. And left-sided teams on the left side, they focus on getting the ball down Emerson's side because he's so bad.
Let me ask you both a question, right? Because this baffles me. And I get it all the time on my channel. And all I end up doing is arguing with people in the comments. And half the comments, I don't even know if they're real accounts. It's just what am I doing, yeah? You can see that if all the players are fit, right, it's so obvious it's going to be Vicario, Udogie, Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, midfield three, Sarr, Maddison, Basuma, maybe Bentancur if he gets his fitness back, replaces Sarr. And then the front three is going to be Kulu, Son, Johnson, or Perisic if he's fit. We all know that is the go-to 11. And if Ange has got them players fit, he's going to start with that every single game, right? So the players that don't get a look in, the players that have just basically been told, you ain't starting anymore, why do we as fans, as Spurs fans, seem to think that if they were given a chance, they'd be great, like a Chicken Royale or a Richarlison or what? Like, is it me or are we just fucking disturbed? Because I don't get it. If they were good enough, they'd start. I don't understand.
Yeah, people are disturbed. I think that's my answer there. People are disturbed. It's as simple as that. Right, before we get to Muppet of the Week, just one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to Richarlison. Just one more brief thing on Richarlison. Richie or Jesus? If you had the option now, Dan, would you take Richie or Jesus? Because we were heavily linked with both at the time. Obviously the Arsenal man, the Brazilian they signed, got a lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. But if you had to have the choice now, would you take Jesus over Richarlison?
I'll take anybody over Richarlison. Do you know what?
Because at the time, honestly, I said Richarlison over Jesus, but I can sort of backtrack now.
No, I didn't even respect him at Everton. I know he had a respectable season once, but for me, why we ever even tried him to get him as the number 9 to replace Harry Kane, I will never know. Even a player of Maddison's quality will struggle to set him up with a goal. And I personally thought he'd be able to do it. No, he is that poor. I'd sell him and bring in a youth player happily.
What would you take? It cost 60 million, Dan. What would you take? Would you take 30, 20?
Look, at the moment, give me 10 million and I'll let him go. It's just one of them ones that I think he is that bad. And I think if his season continues just like last season, and that, we'd be lucky if someone even wants to buy him. We'll have another problem there like an Ndombele.
Stel, would you sell him at this point? I mean, yes. we've got bad injuries. We've got Solomon and Perisic long-term injuries.
I don't care. It's like playing with 10 men. The reason we were under pressure against Luton wasn't because Bissouma got sent off, right? That happens. It's because we didn't go 3-0 up when we created those chances. If you go 2-0 up, the game is done. Bissouma's not looking to dive in the box because we're in panic mode. You can't dominate games, create the chances we create and not finish your dinner. And when the players that are responsible for finishing don't, that's why we get put under pressure. Yes, I'd sell him. He's never been good enough. He might pop up with the occasional really nice 10-meter pass to the left that's an assist, or he jumps up in the air and a good connection and he scores a header from 6 yards. Brilliant. Any average player can do that. He's not impactful. Son is impactful. He's clinical. Mm-hmm. Maddison impacts games. I've seen more from Johnson from the little cameo roles he's had than what I've seen from Richarlison this season.
And last season.
And last season. So I'm very passionate about this, Tommy. I don't like seeing bang average football players at Tottenham because I think it's things like that cost us. And I think it's players like him that makes players like Harry Kane, who are elite, want to leave Tottenham. Because the best players will look around and say, I'm not sticking around for this shit, man.
But you know,
they're the reason they leave.
Still, he's number 9 for Brazil. He's played 40 games as Brazil's number 9.
Brazil haven't been good since Rivaldo and Romario.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, by the way.
Brazil haven't been good since the 90s.
Yeah, and they haven't had a striker for a long time. And you can't even call Jesus, if you want to call him a striker, he's bang average at best. But as a player, a false 9 or on the wing, I think he's very good at controlling the game. I think he's a good player. But as a striker, he's bang average at best. But I still don't get how Richarlison gets in the Brazil team for a number 9 in front of Jesus. At least Jesus will get you 10 goals. All right, he had a brilliant goal at the World Cup, but he didn't have a good World Cup. He just had a very good goal. He is a piss poor player. He's just something you need to get out quick. Whether we sell him over to the Arab lands, whether we sell him here.
You know when you look at Richarlison, yeah, you know when you look at him, he looks a bit lost. And you see his body language on the pitch, you know.
That's where they left his head on the side.
The most recent comparison I can have of him at Spurs, he reminds me of Bergwijn, especially when he finishes.
Bergwijn's better.
Sometimes when Bergwijn finish, it looks exceptional, but at times Bergwijn one-on-one, just in terms of finishing.
I didn't mind Bergwijn. I don't think he was right, but I didn't mind him.
Lost.
I agree.
I didn't mind him.
Yeah, he looked lost. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not the biggest Richarlison hater. I wouldn't be selling him this January. Not with the injuries. Not with Perisic.
We're down to 10 men, Tommy. We're down to 10 men again.
You've got Cess and Gill coming back from injury.
But
we can't let this guy go. But we need a replace. If we get rid of him in January, we need a replacement. It's as simple as that.
Let Brian Hill play. Let Lo Celso play out.
Exactly.
But they're all injured. They're all injured, man. They're all injured.
They're back.
They're going to be coming back. The
So
word
Lo
for
Richarlison.
There's one word for
Richarlison for me. Richarlison should be a super sub. That is.
Tommy, I'm going to kill you.
Tommy,
I'm going to kill you. You can't defend Richarlison. You can't.
Richarlison
as a super sub. Whenever he comes on as a sub, he does well. As a super sub, he stays in the team.
No, he does mediocre.
He scores always goes as a sub. As a sub, he's in the team for me.
He's a liability, mate. That's what he is. He is a liability. I'm sorry. I will not agree with you on this one, Tom. He is a fucking liability. He has got to go.
He's super sub.
He
came on once against Sheffield United. Once against Sheffield United, a relegation team. That's it.
We say that, but then, we're top of the table for beating relegation teams. So,
we're not top of the table because of Ritchie. Fucking hell no.
Well, you just said that he came on and scored the super sub against Sheffield United. If he didn't, we're not top. So if he didn't, we're not top.
First of all, the word super doesn't go next to his name or before his name, right?
Never.
He came on once as a sub, did something half decent, and that was it. That does not justify him being Solskjaer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a super sub. That's a super sub.
Yes.
No, I'm saying his role. No, I'm saying his role should be as a super sub. I'm not saying he's
not a super sub.
I'm saying his role should be a super sub to come on and score the win in the last 10 minutes. I don't
think he plays.
I'm gonna cry.
Last 10 minutes.
I'm just gonna cry, man. I can't.
The last 10 minutes in games. Come on, last 10 minutes in games. When
game he did it. He did it for one game.
Put him on for last 10 minutes in games. He's worth that. He's worth that.
No, he's not.
Look, it's a failure of the depth in the squad more than anything. It's because we have no depth in the squad. I'm keeping Richarlison around.
Brian Hill is back.
Brian Hill's been injured for 6 months. Brian Hill's played 4 games for us in 2 years.
Richie plays like he's injured. He missed the shot from 4 yards. It's an open goal, and he can't.
They're shocking misses. They're shocking misses. Nobody can do
it. And when he runs after the ball, he looks like. When he runs after the ball, he even looks like Waterboy, for God's sake. You know the face he pulls in the film and that. I cannot stand the player. He's fucking useless.
Perisic is out
100%
out for the whole season. Solomon was out for 6 months of last year at Fulham. He's injured for 2 or 3 months. Gill's just had hip surgery. Cess has been injured for a year. You need something as backup. Even if it's Richarlison for 10 minutes at the end of game, 10, 15 minutes, did make an impact against Sheffield United. If he didn't come on against Sheffield United, we wouldn't be top. We wouldn't have been having an argument.
If it wasn't for Richie, we wouldn't be struggling against Luton Town. If it wasn't for Richie,
look, as soon as you said, I was like, Stell was bang on here. When you said the chances he missed actually were one of the reasons Basuma got sent off. Yeah, because we were getting annoyed. Basuma was getting annoyed. The fact that still 0-0, we weren't going anywhere. Basuma made rash challenges. He dived because we weren't going anywhere. Had Richarlison scored those early goals, Porro could have scored his as well. It would have been a different state of affairs. Starting him, terrible. The first 7 games of last season, coming off the bench, he was outstanding as well. He was. First 7 games of last season, watch all the game. Everyone was saying he needs to come off for Son. He needs to come off for Son. And he scored a couple in the Champions League as well as a sub. As a sub, last 10, 15 minutes of games. Last 10, 15 minutes.
Free headers.
Last 10, 15 minutes of games. Well, we've got players out for years, for seasons, and 6 months and 7 months. Get rid of him in the summer. Get rid of him in the summer. For now, I don't see the positive. I don't see a positive unless you're going to replace him. I don't see
the positive of him playing for Spurs now.
Who's that young winger we got? I can't remember his name. In the under-21s.
Santiago.
Who's made it in our subs bench?
Santiago.
Use him as the sub and bring him on the last 10, 15 minutes.
I'll come on and play.
Exactly. Go and get Mickey Mouse on there for all
We need to get rid of him. We need to get rid of him at some point. We need to get rid
Yeah, but if we
at some
hang on
point,
to him, we
for
then do an
definite.
Ndombele and no one will take him. No one will buy him. We won't even be able to bloody give him away. For
No one's going to buy him now. No one's going to buy him. Who's going to buy him now?
I'm sure
no one's going to buy him
someone
now.
will still snap him up for 10, 20 million in January. Whereas if it goes on to the end of the season and he only scores one more goal, like he's probably likely to do, you won't even be able to give the player away.
I don't think Ange's going to go down that route. I don't think Ange's going to go down that route. I think Ange will stick with him for a little time. I think Ange will stick with him. I think there's
go watch the videos. Go watch the videos. Every time Richie does something stupid up top and the camera goes to the dugout, Ange does this.
Yeah, but he still starts him.
Every time.
He still starts him. Still starting,
and that is a criticism. And that is a criticism I've got with Ange.
He's still starting him over these other players. Right. Right. Muppet of the week. We have to get to Muppet of the week. It is our final segment.
You're the Muppet of the week, Tommy. We're back in Richie. You're the Muppet of the week.
You can, you can choose. You don't have to choose any of these. You can nominate your own. So you can nominate me. Both nominate me. Well, do you know what? It was quite a difficult one this week. It really was. It was actually a difficult one this week because this is the least. I think this is the least week that I can actually put Levy in. I can't think of. There's not really a story of Levy messing things up because usually he's building this or he's building that or he's fucked up this or he's fucked up that. This is the week probably where I haven't seen too much bad blood towards him, but he still will always be an exclusive member of Muppet of the Week for the 46 transfer windows and 23 years, day in, day out shit that he's caused this club. So Muppet of the Week, Daniel Levy's there. Bissouma, of course, just got carded in the Luton game, yellow card. A few minutes later, dive. It was a definite dive. Gets himself sent off. And look, in many ways, we're lucky to come out of that with a victory. Luton missed an open goal. They missed another chance after that as well. So Bissouma has to be in the Muppet of the Week. And this guy, Just Stop Oil. Just Stop Oil. It's over. The main guy. We always get sort of political. The only times we get political is on Muppet of the Week. The guy that funded Just Stop Oil is stopped funding them. He's putting all his money into the Labour Party instead. So all that rubbish around the football matches, the tennis matches of coming on the pitch and fucking spraying this, that, and the other. That's done with. Done. So who's your Muppet of the Week? Levy, Bissouma, this chap, me. Where are you going, Dan?
Bissouma, hands down, and everyone knows he's my favourite player, yeah? The way I see it with Bissouma, that shouldn't have even been a yellow card. That should have been a straight red card and a 3-match ban. That is how I feel about people diving. And I can't give him no sympathy whatsoever. He deserves a smack in the face for what he did. I personally think he should have got a red card and a 3-match ban. Bissouma is Muppet of the Week.
It was his reaction as well. His reaction was so... He knew he fucked up big time, didn't he? He knew.
Yeah, well, fair play. But at the end of the day, like I said, I believe when someone dives and it is blatantly that obvious, you know it's a dive, it should be a red card, 3-match ban, period, yeah? He's Muppet of the Week, hands down. The oil fella... The fella on the right ear, the oil fella, they should have just left him tied to a lamppost and carried on playing football, but make sure you kick the ball at his head. Sort of. But
just kick balls at him.
Yeah, basically, I'm sure he won't do it again, especially when you got like a Premier League player kicking a ball full force and it hits him in the face. Because
I think we've got someone that dislikes Richarlison more than Dan. I didn't think we'd have anyone on this show that dislikes Richarlison more than Dan, but Stel does. So you can choose. Yeah. So I think it's probably between me and Richarlison, Stel, for your Muppet of the Week. As I said, you haven't got to choose one of these. So yeah, you can nominate your own.
Out of respect, because it's your channel, I won't pick you. But I'm going to give it to
the fact that Dan hasn't nominated me means that you're going to get outvoted either way. So
okay, I'm losing it then.
I have resting vote. So
my Muppet of the Week is the Liverpool fans. Because they've made a big hoo-ha, a big song and dance, calling into Talk Sport, going on social media, on their YouTube channels, banging on about replay. And at the Brighton game, when something didn't quite work out, all the Brighton fans started singing, "Can we have a replay? Can we have?" And it was freaking wicked, man. The Brighton fans singing, "Can we have a replay?" So, Muppet of the Week, Liverpool fans.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you, Brighton fans getting the Amex booming now. it's surprising what like a good season or good 18 months can do, because that stadium is fucking loud now. I never thought I'd hear this. Not down in Brighton, but it was no there. It's you know, they need a trophy, Brighton. I think they deserve a trophy, like an FA Cup.
Tommy, they got good support down there. When I was studying at Brighton, we used to go watch Brighton Hove Albion because we used to get cheap tickets as students. I think we paid £3 a game, and they were in Division 4.
Did you watch? Were you there for the Zamora days? Were you there for the Bobby Zamora days?
Yeah, Bobby Zamora. Yeah, victim.
That's what Liverpool need.
The victim card. Damn right.
Yeah.
They've always had good support down there on the South Coast. South Coast football's banging, man. The rivalry between Southampton, Bournemouth, the rivalry down there is brilliant. They've always had good support, but now in the Premier League, they've got something bigger to shout about. So
I didn't think
Brighton's my second team.
Brighton's my second team. I didn't think it would transition. But it's fantastic.
It's lively. The South Coast is lively, man. There's a lot of like army. Not what do you call them? There's like they've got the Navy down there in Portsmouth. They've got an army base. I think is it Southampton on nearby. It's a lively place. Honestly, they got good support. Good support.
Right. I think we'll call that a night. That's a wrap for tonight. As I said a minute ago, we're bringing you so much content. Dan's part of it. The Total Hotspur boys on Saturday. I can't keep forgetting them. The Aussie lads on a Saturday around lunchtime. They're always hitting it live before the 3 o'clock kickoff. So if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get notified of what they're doing as well. They're doing some great stuff, and it's only right with Ange at the helm. We've got the Aussie boys on board. I want to Stel. Tell us where we can find you. I sort of gave it away with Brian. Okay, tell us where we can find you.
You can find Tottenham away at Tottenham away.
Do I really have to say that? Did I really have to say that to Brian Daigle? Right, okay.
That was funny. Yeah, no, Tottenham away. We normally go live pretty much every other day or uploading videos, but it's going to be a bit quiet for the next 2 weeks because we don't really do international break. I can't be bothered. But we have got a show on Thursday called North London is Ours. It's a bit of a car crash of a show, but it's Spurs and Arsenal fans going at it and just being pretty useless, really. But it's fun, so come and check it out.
Yeah, Stel loves trolling all fans.
Listen, Tommy, let me have it right. Yeah, this season, we're just getting it from every angle. Like, I'm sick of being called lucky, right? Like Dan said it earlier. Yes, we have been a bit lucky. Yes, we have. We've also deserved certain things. You're telling me Arsenal weren't lucky to get an own goal and a penalty against Spurs? You're telling me Arsenal weren't lucky with that deflected winner against Man City? Come on.
Exactly.
Every team in that top 3 or 4 have been lucky this season. They all have. Not just us, but Tottenham are lucky. It's like they deserve everything they get, man. It's not balanced what's going on here. It's all... I think they're all petrified. They're just scared that Spurs might actually be good one day. That's all it is. They're scared we might actually be good one day.
Well, hopefully this is the day. Hopefully these are the days, and hopefully Levy backs his ideas up in January. Yeah,
he better.
If the players stay fit. Everyone's talking about January. I'm not going to carry on, but everyone's talking about January. We need to make sure we stay fit. The players stay fit up until January, because if we lose Maddison, we lose Romero, we're in fucking deep shit. And then we've got to do well in January. So long way to go. And look, we beat Liverpool, we beat Arsenal, we beat Man United. They're always going to be big teams to beat. So we've been lucky at times, and you make your own luck in many ways. So big few weeks ahead. And as I said, look, international break or not, it's still still loads and loads of topics to get into. What's our next game? Is it Fulham next or Palace?
Fulham, then Palace.
Fulham at home and then Palace away.
We've been screwed.
Chelsea at home.
Tommy, they've screwed us. They've screwed us though. We've got Fulham at home on a Monday night and then Palace away on a Friday night. How are we playing Monday then Friday?
It's 4 days rest. We need to do this. We need to do it. We need to win these games. Yeah, I don't care when we play the games. Bro, we've got teams. We're going to be playing 8 games in December, 9 games in December. We're going to have to get fucking used to it. The Team's going to have to get used
Why can't we just play Saturday? Why can't we play on the weekend after the Monday? Why have we got
It's
to
weird
with the
that
last game, and then with the first game?
So I knew it was on Monday night. So we're exclusively on Monday night football, and then exclusively on Friday night football, which are exclusive in themselves, which is weird. Only one team on each. That is odd. That is odd. But nobody gives a shit about Spurs, and in many ways because we don't win anything, so nobody gives a fuck about us. Right. So peace out, everyone. Make sure you smash the like. Stay safe, stay free, stay classy, you little whites. Peace out.
See you later, everyone.